Okay, we have some more people joining. Again, we have about 5 minutes. So just going to give everyone a little bit more time and then we will get started.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm good.
Good. Have about 3 more minutes. Just going to let everybody get in and we'll get started.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. How's the weather there? Is it still pretty hot?
It's raining and it's chilly. Well, summertime chilly. It's 70 some.
Yeah, I would give anything for that. I'm in Baton Rouge and it's hot, 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 hot. I'd love some rain and some chili.
But it's rained for hours.
Oh, yeah, that's no fun.
No.
That's no fun. All right, still waiting for a few more people. It's over here. And if y'all could turn your cameras on just for introductions, and then you can turn them off if you want to. Either way is fine. I know how some people feel about the cameras. I am going to mute everybody after we do introductions, and then feel free to unmute yourself at any point to ask questions. If you have something you want to say, that's perfectly fine. We also have a chat box that y'all could use to send me a little message if you want to. All right. I see some of y'all are at the school, huh?
Yes.
That's perfect.
You're in the front of the class.
Yes, ma'am.
Kermit pre-K8's here. We're on Stella's computer right now.
Okay.
We have some custodians and some aides and that kind of thing here.
Oh,
Perfect.
well, that's what
Bus drivers.
I'm representing Birch Pre-K8.
Okay. Perfect.
But I already had my account and I didn't change the name or anything.
Good. No, that's okay. We're going to give everybody about 2 more minutes and then we'll do some introductions because I do want to know where you are located, the school that you work at, and your role or whoever. I know there's a bunch of people together and that's fine, but just who you represent. And I'll introduce myself. We have a couple little housekeeping things to go over. A couple more minutes.
Are they going to work on that today in there?
I don't know, it looks like they are.
Work on what?
They brought my dishwasher, but maintenance has to come and do something, so William and Tony's in there.
Oh,
Yeah, they had to hook.
One state of the law.
Frank has come and run a water
here's
line.
the message.
The other one. Later.
Probably one of the best summers I've had in a long time.
Okay, let's get started. All right, I'm going to mute everybody just for a second and I'll unmute you in 1 minute just so we can not hear all the background.
I didn't think y'all worked.
Okay. So my name is April Myers and I am located in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I do these trainings often for staff development associates. They're the company that handles them. And my boss is Jeff Olafson. He's created all the slides today and I train off of these slides, which means I also kind of add in my own tidbits. I love doing these 2 trainings. I think that they're super beneficial, especially where we're at today in 2021. So the first one we're going to do is stress and wellness. And the second one we're going to do is communicating for results. They're about 3 hours long, but we give a lot of breaks. So I'll talk for about an hour. We'll talk for an hour. The more everybody can communicate and can add, their own little tidbits, the more they can discuss, that y'all can discuss, the faster it goes, the more interesting it is. So we'll talk for about an hour, and then we'll take a 10 to 15 minute break. And then we'll talk for another hour, take another 10 to 15 minute break, and talk for another hour. I speak very quickly, and I know that, so I'm working on it. So it might end a little bit early. Then we'll break for lunch, and we will come back after about an hour, and we'll do the communicating for results. Okay, your school district has asked me that everybody who is present on this Zoom call has to go to the little chat box and type in your name. That's how you're going to get credit for today. Okay, and I'm going to remind you to do that often during the training. So if you haven't done that yet, just open up that text box, that chat box, and just type in your name. It would be like signing a sign-in sheet. Okay, this video is being recorded for anybody that needs to watch it later on. So in the presentation, there's a secret word. If you're watching this video live, don't worry about it. But if you're going to be watching it on the recording, which some people are later on, you're going to have to know what that secret word is. So if you're with me today live, don't even worry about that secret word. If you are listening to the recording, you need to remember the secret word, okay? Let's see. Like I said, if you want to participate, I would love to hear what you all have to say. Please unmute yourself at any point and just kind of chime in. It's very laid back, or send me a message over chat, okay? All right, so I'm going to unmute everybody, and I want us to just kind of go around and say what school you work at, and then what your role is at that school, okay? So let me unmute everybody. And okay, I'm just going to kind of call out what I see. I see Barbara on here. So if you could unmute and take your video off, or put your video on, and just tell me what school you're working at and what your jobs are there. So Barbara, let's go first. I see that one. Barbara, do you hear me, or are there other people there? All right, we'll come back to her. Okay. How about WPK8? I see that. Unmute yourselves and just tell me where you're located and what jobs y'all have. And turn your cameras on for me, please. WPK8. Can you hear me? Okay. Oh, you don't have a camera. Okay. If you don't have a camera, that's fine. Just kind of talk to me. Where are you located and who's?
I just did.
Oh, I can't hear you. I can hear you now. Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
I can. Yes.
Yeah. Teacher's aide. I have the bus drivers from Williamson, also cooks, a few more aides in the house. We're eating donuts, have some coffee and all that good stuff for you in the morning.
I love it. Good morning. Okay. When does school start, by the way? What date?
What's that again?
When does school officially start?
The 25th.
Okay. Okay. Good.
And 27th, the 7th for the kids.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. We're getting there. All right. Well, good morning. You can mute yourself again.
No, I'm not going to mute now.
Okay. You don't have to mute yourself.
You have me talking. It's April.
Good.
All right. I'm a mute.
All right. All right. Who's next? Let's do, can Barbara hear me? Go back to her. You're on mute, so you can unmute yourself. I can hear you. Go ahead.
Yeah, this is Hiram Justice. I'm sitting in Barbara's office,
Okay,
bus driver for Mate 1, Pre-K 8.
awesome. Well, welcome. Is it just you in there?
Yes,
Good morning. Okay, welcome. Thank you for introducing yourself. Okay, I'm gonna say this wrong. Matawan PK8, is that right?
close. It's Mate 1.
Matewan. Okay. Good morning, Matewan. Tell me a little bit about yourselves.
There's a small school right up from the WPK 8, probably
Okay.
about 15 minutes away from there.
All right. And who's joining me from there this morning? Y'all hear me?
Just me right now.
Okay. Oh.
I'm Kim Dixon and Lily Runyon and Jamie Lewis. We're in another room.
Okay. Great. And what are your roles at the school?
Kindergarten aide and special ed aide.
Okay. Welcome. All right. Perfect. Y'all can either mute or keep yourselves off mute, either way. Miss Joy, good morning.
Good morning.
I think
I'm the instructional coach and I'm here with, at the moment, Sarah.
Good morning, Sarah.
Good morning. How are you?
Good. How are you? What
Good.
school do y'all work at?
We are at Birch Pre-K 8,
Okay.
and I am the kindergarten aide. Well, one of the kindergarten aides.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, good morning. Good morning. Welcome. All right. Let's see who else we got here. Stella Brumfield. I see a bunch of y'all up there, huh?
Stella's not here. We're just on her computer.
Perfect. Introduce yourselves and where you work.
Okay, this is Nani Hensley. I'm the principal at Kermit.
Okay.
Deanna Sturgill, custodian.
Thelma Hensley, custodian.
Okay. Good morning.
Carolyn Webb, cook.
Okay.
Beverly Workman, bus driver.
Nice.
Kathy Williams, resource aide.
All right. Good morning. Welcome. I'm glad to see y'all. I remember. Oh, go ahead. Is there more people back there?
Oh, yeah.
Custodian.
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome.
Okay.
All right. Well, good morning. I think I did a training on, still more?
No, that's good.
That's good. Okay. I think I did a training for bus drivers like 10 years ago. And is there like a tunnel in your district? Like the tunnel? Yes. Y'all drove me through that tunnel. It was one of my most memorable experiences. So welcome. And I have a lot of respect for the work that you all do, for sure. I tell people about that all the time. Okay. I'm going to move on here to user. It just says user. So tell me who's behind that screen here. You can unmute yourself and you can also take yourself off of video or to put your video on. Sorry. Anybody back there? Oh, there you go.
Lisa Cottle, Mingo Central aide.
Good morning. Is it just you?
No, Rhonda Hall, North Burton, Cindy Mahan, Lynn Daniels, Joan Rogers.
Okay. And what do y'all do there?
One bus driver, the rest is aides.
All right. Well, good morning. All right. Let's see who else. Is there anybody else I forgot here? GPK8. Good morning.
Good morning. This is Gilbert Pre-K 8.
Okay.
I'm here with approximately 10. We have bus drivers, aides, cooks. That's it.
All right. Well, good morning. I'm so excited to be with y'all. Anybody else I forgot? Okay. If you're just joining us, you need to sign in to this training, and to sign in, all you need to do is type your name in the chat box. Okay. And then that will act as your kind of sign in. All right. Also, if you want to participate at any point, please just unmute yourself and chat with me, or you can text in the chat box and we can answer questions that way. It's a very laid back, really fun training, and I hope you all get a lot out of it. I'm excited to do it. We will also take a 10 to 15 minute break every hour. Okay. So it's a 3-hour training. We'll break for lunch, but in between those hours, we'll take 10 to 15 minutes. Anybody have any questions before we start? No. Okay. All right. Can everybody see the PowerPoint presentation that I just put up? Just kind of give me a thumbs up or nod your head or, yeah. Okay. So today we're going to do stress and personal wellness. I'm going to talk about it. Let me see if this is going to work. There we go. Okay. So what is personal wellness, right? You see kind of all these little cartoony things on your screen. Can anybody kind of tell me in a few words what personal wellness is and what it means to you? And again, just unmute yourselves or send me a little chat. Go ahead. What's personal wellness?
Not being depressed,
Yeah.
eating right, exercise, stress levels.
Yeah, it's having kind of a peaceful mind, right? Making sure you get enough movement, enough exercise. Your body wants to move, right? We all know that. So not sitting all day, making sure that we're up and kind of moving around. Eating what our body needs, right? And resting. So those are kind of the components of it. It's really tough right now in the climate that we're in, especially working in schools, to keep all of these moving parts balanced. Anybody that's in a school right now dealing with COVID, especially as a leader or as an employee, has extra stress. Okay. So realize that and be compassionate with yourselves, because what y'all are going through is tough. It's historical, really. So, and we're still navigating it. I don't know what your numbers are like in West Virginia, but here in Louisiana, they just like climbed dramatically. So we're having to deal with another spike, and it's affecting the kids and it's affecting the schools, and then there's mask issues. So it's just all of that really, really does take a toll on us. All right, let me just check this chat. Okay, we're good. All right, so we're going to talk about how we need to be taking care of ourselves, right? And again, self-compassion is big. Understanding what our body needs to eat, and that whole theory of like just eating healthy and making sure that you get a certain amount of fruits and vegetables and a certain amount of carbohydrates. I feel like your body's going to know exactly what it wants, right? Does it want more water? Does it need more nutrients? These are all things that we'll kind of discuss today. So again, personal wellness is feeling good, having a healthy body and a peaceful mind. And you'll know when all those are clicking into place, because there will be kind of this peaceful feeling that comes over you. Unfortunately, we don't all feel that way every day. I know I don't. So we're going to talk about some strategies on how to kind of make that happen. So if you think about our lives as kind of like a pyramid, right? Or a triangle. We have to take care of ourselves, right? That's one part. We have to take care of work. We have to work to make money, obviously, to take care of ourselves and our family. So we have to prioritize, and ourself always comes first, because if we're not healthy, then we can't do anything else. So if you don't take care of yourself, you won't be good, obviously, for anybody else. There's this analogy too, like when you get on an airplane, right? Especially if you're traveling with kids, they'll come, the flight attendants will come over and say, when your oxygen masks drop, who do you put it on first? And has anybody been on a plane with a child and experienced that recently? Probably not recently, huh? Yeah. Well, I have, and they tell you to put it on yourself first, right? Which goes against everything as a parent, because you want to help your kid out. But if you don't put your oxygen mask on first, you can't help out anybody else. So I always try to remember that. All right, let's talk a little bit about stress. What is stress? This lady looks completely stressed. And what are some stressors that you all are facing in the school district this year? Okay. Speak a little louder. I didn't hear that. What are some stresses y'all are facing? COVID? Is COVID still a stress up there?
It definitely is.
Yes, it definitely is. Is it more or less stressful than it was opening last year?
About
It's what? Less?
very similar.
Okay, similar, right? Maybe the same, right?
Maybe not quite because the masks aren't mandated right now.
Okay, okay, good. And is that a little, does that ease a little bit of the stress?
I think so.
Okay, good. Tell me some of the other stressors that y'all are facing. Parents,
Yeah, I can.
go ahead. I'll talk to my bus drivers for a second, because I know that our bus driver down here came the first day of school, had a whole list of things that our kids needed to do on the bus. And my kids were not happy. And I was thrilled because they were rules, right? And it said this, and this needs to be done. And we had to sign it. And I loved that. So if you're driving a bus, what are some of the stresses that you face on a daily basis? And I know about that tunnel. So tell me.
Miss Myers, I'm not a
Yes.
bus driver, but I do ride a bus
Okay.
with the bus driver. And during this period, I thought our bus drivers did a real good job, with the masking. And also, I give the kudos to the little babies and everything. I'm taking a temperature with a little light gun, and
Right.
they really did real well. I thought the bus drivers, we did have a few hiccups and everything, but the stress, I don't think it was a lot of stress. It was just what bus drivers do. They took care of them kids the way they've been trained to do, and but stress, I think I don't think you guys had any stress, did you guys? I have 4 of them here.
Okay.
And they're shaking their head. No, they're
Okay.
gun shy. I found the camera on here, and they said, "Mr. Hatcher, don't do it, don't do it."
don't turn the camera on.
But anyway, Miss Myers, I think they did a pretty good job last year.
That's awesome. And you know what? And if they didn't feel the stress, that's incredible. But to have to take temperatures, to have to
Yeah.
worry about masks staying on,
Yes.
to have to worry about where kids sit, right? And drive them and watch the road and make sure they get there safely. That's a lot. I give you all a lot of credit.
Yes, and you said something right there, and I think our county is probably looking into this, is having someone on the bus, on all the buses and everything, so it can take a little of that thing off of the driver.
Yes.
It can concentrate on the road. And, so, yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Okay, I know this is not Stella Brumfield. I know y'all are in her office, but did y'all want to add anything to that? Go ahead. You got to speak a little bit louder.
It'd be nice, wouldn't it?
The what? Were you talking about some of the stressors you're facing on the bus?
And I mean, that's not including the sub buses for the frequencies.
Okay. I'll just, if you have something to say, just, you can yell it out, or I'll move on a little bit. But I liked that some of the issues you talked about on the bus and how the drivers handled them. And I think that's something else that the districts and the kids and the parents everybody's had to adapt very quickly to something that we didn't know a whole lot about and do that well. I heard that there were a lot of aides in kindergarten. I heard some kindergarten aides kind of pop in. That's a stressful job with COVID, because you have to make sure that that kids are separate, and kindergartners love to be on top of each other, right? They love to be hugging you and other kids. And does anybody want to tell me a little bit about how they handled that last year? Does anybody that worked with kindergartners or worked as a teacher's aide and with some of the younger kids want to talk? Good morning.
Good morning. My name's Annette Hatfield and I'm at Gilbert Pre-K 8. Our pre-K teacher, aides and teachers done an awesome job taking care of our children during last year's pandemic. They did feel some stress, I think, as far as trying to keep the little children's mask on.
Yes.
You know, that was even hard for me, but I'm in special ed and I have to deal with special education kids that don't understand a whole lot about things that's going on around them.
Right.
So it was kind of hard to, you know, to make sure their hands were always washed, you know, every time we moved from location to location, which we didn't move that much, you know, because we did like the lunch and stuff like that, but.
Right. That's a lot. That's a lot. And by the end of the day, were you exhausted?
I was totally.
Yeah.
And
like
so,
spent.
And so was our pre-K and kindergarten staff, but they did an awesome job.
Right.
Our administrative staff, they did an excellent job. Our school was cleaned. Our custodians done an awesome job.
Right.
I mean, we all pulled together and we did, I hate to pat our own back, but we did an awesome job taking care of our kids, bus drivers, everybody included. We came together and we took care of the kids.
That's awesome. That
and
is
it
awesome.
It was stressful, mind you, but we did it.
Right. Right. Exactly. So it was stressful, but we did it. And we were exhausted, but we did it. Right.
Yeah.
So I want to just teach y'all a little bit about kind of what stress does to the body and how you can take care of yourselves. Because I know if I've had a stressful day at work, sometimes I come home to my 2 kids and it's like, I don't have enough for them or my husband. Right. Because I've used all my energy for the day. So stress does, it does impact the body and it does impact, how we react to things, right? And it's an ancient reaction to modern circumstances, okay? So back in the day, well, I mean, we've always had stress, but back in the day, we were stressed about finding food or fleeing from a dinosaur, right? Today, our stressors are different. Okay, so some of the things that we experience when we're under stress, right? We get tired, right? We get headaches. What are some other factors that come into stress? What else do we feel? What does it do to the body? Think about back in March, right? Maybe was it March of 2020? I'm trying to think of where we're at now. It feels like it was yesterday when we all kind of learned about COVID and we're like, oh my gosh, our worlds are shutting down. What did we feel?
Like we all seized up, we all tensed up,
Right.
You know, we didn't know what to expect and your body does feel all that stuff, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Your body's going to feel it in different ways. Some people feel it in their stomachs and they have GI issues, right? Some people feel it in their head or in their jaws. I always, before trainings even, sometimes I get a little bit nervous and I have to take a few breaths because I'm like, I'm feeling myself tense up. When something catastrophic happens, like, you know, a shutdown and COVID, we automatically feel the need to kind of fight it or flee. Fight or flight. Okay. So all these different feelings that we have when we're stressed, we need to be aware of so then we can know how to deal with them when they come about. All right. Here's some more that we can feel. All right. Chronic back pain, a change in appetite, chest pain, right? Where we actually feel like we might be having a heart attack. Hopefully we're not, but we can feel like we are. Exhaustion, which I'm sure, like you said, you all felt last year. You're probably going to feel it this year as well. Headaches, high blood pressure, heart palpitations, insomnia, right? How many times do we lay our head down, we go to bed, and then all of a sudden we're like, can't sleep because we're thinking about everything that just happened during the day and how we could do it better or how we could have said something different. lightheadedness, shortness of breath, a stiff neck, TMJ, which is that teeth clenching with your jaw, an upset stomach, or rapid weight gain or loss. People talked about the COVID-15, right? We stayed home and we ate. So we all gained a little bit of weight. Some people exercised more, so they lost weight. Good for them, right? But like for the most part, we were all kind of just stuck inside and eating. Okay, let me take a quick second just to say I just saw a couple of people that came in. In order to get credit for today, you need to sign in, which means all you have to do is put your name in the chat box. Okay, just send me a quick little note and say, say you're here. Okay, I had somebody that just told me that they slept too much during the pandemic and experienced a weight gain. This is on the chat. Yeah, absolutely. We all dealt with it in a different way, right? But our bodies are going to react. And I would really, really love for everybody to, if they leave here with one thing today, it's just understanding what your body's trying to tell you, okay? The fact that you all did an amazing job last year is awesome. But when you went home and were exhausted, it took a toll on you. So be aware of that, offer some self-compassion, and make sure that you can figure out some ways how to help your body through that stress. Okay, it's not ever going to go away. Unfortunately, we have stressors every day, but we can learn to mitigate it and learn to handle it when it arises. Okay, I saw someone taking a picture of this slide. Does anybody else want to take a picture before I move on? And I think I can email these to you, or your school can. Okay, anybody else have anything they want to say about stress? Are you taking a picture of me? I'm just kidding. You got it? Okay. Anything else y'all want to say about stress that you experienced during COVID or even during the school year? I mean, school years are stressful anyway, and without throwing a pandemic in the loop. Okay. For those of you that are just joining me at go ahead. I heard somebody talking. Go ahead.
We said as stressful as it was, we felt like the school year flew by.
Yes. Tell me about that. Why?
I just think the way it ran, we starting halfway through the year, like that, and then I think the way that it was ran, everybody was more contained. It wasn't a lot of chaos, like in the hallways, the lunchrooms, even on the buses and stuff. Everything was more
uniform,
yes,
like uniform.
Yeah, like did you eat lunch in your classroom?
Some classrooms did, some classrooms didn't.
Okay.
Teachers for whatever they preferred.
Right, but there was an order to it, right? Like you could only have a certain amount of kids in the hallways at a certain time, or on the right.
Yeah, you couldn't have as many in the lunchroom as you would normally have on a certain day, before COVID and things like that,
Right.
Gym time, you couldn't have as many in the gym as you did any other time. Don't you turn that camera on. And stuff. So it was, I thought it felt a little bit, it went by real fast. I felt like my days went by fast. And I was in pre-K, and the little ones done awesome wearing their masks.
Yeah, I'm always amazed by that, because that is the age where you think they wouldn't, right? And I feel like the kids really stepped up too. Like they showed us what they're capable of, for sure.
I think the children done better than the parents were. What parents even knew, they really didn't know what was going on in school. And our kids, they come off the bus on the very first day with their little mask on and like little troopers. And I really, really were proud of each and every one of our kids.
Miss Myers, that's our head cook talking right there. She does a real awesome job.
That's great. Why do you think that is? Why do you think that the kids had an easier time than adults?
Yes, I do too. I do too.
Why do you think that is?
Why she was asking why you think the kids have an easier time than the adults to adjust.
I just think that the children just do as they're told to do, and they don't ask questions. Where parents just, they feel like they shouldn't have to do this, and they're not going to do this. They don't like to do this or that or the other. And the kids didn't have any problems at all with this.
That's right. That's right. And somebody just messaged, they adapt easier, right? Kids are more adaptable, which the reason I ask that is because I think one of the ways we can relieve stress, and we'll talk about this, is to kind of tap into that kid inside of us, because we all have it, right? We can remember what it was like to be that age. And they
had such cute little masks and stuff like that.
yeah, yeah.
And you tell them how cute they look and interact with the child and its mask. Ours done very well. I was proud of all of our children.
That's great. That's great. I love hearing that. Okay. Any more stressors that you all noticed last year, or anything you're nervous about this year, moving into the year? Are you nervous about not wearing masks? Has anybody thought about that?
I'm not nervous about anything, really, truly. I am looking forward to getting back to some kind of normalcy. And
Yeah.
if you wear a mask, that's fine.
Yeah. Anything to kind of move forward is what I'm hearing. Yeah. Okay. All right. Anybody that just joined us, please write your name in the chat box. That's how you will get credit for today. Okay. All right. So we talked about this. Our bodies are naturally attuned for the fight or flight response, right? Has anybody ever gotten into an argument with someone or felt really kind of worked up, right? And I know when you have kids, you feel like this often. You have this like feeling of either just getting out of the house, right? Or fighting back. Like during COVID, when we were all here together, my family, I got a membership to a car wash, and I could go twice a day. And I would take my car, like when it got really stressful having to do online school, I would take my car and like drive to the car wash a couple times a day and sing songs, and sounds kind of ridiculous, but that was my way to flee, right? So that's in us. We're attuned to that because of how we were back when we had to fight for food, and if somebody was coming that was stealing our food, or if we were in danger. So we have that response in us, and we need to just recognize it. All right, our modern challenges today are different, right? We have the stresses of paying bills, meeting work deadlines, dealing with challenging people. We have family issues. We have health issues that have come about, etc. So different challenges, the same exact fight or flight. Okay, so just be aware of that. We haven't changed that much. We have evolved, but we still have that feeling inside of us. All right, so what can we do? So obviously we can learn more about ourselves, right? And about how we react to stressful situations. Do we feel it in our gut? Do we have GI issues? Do we get headaches? Do we get tired? Can we not sleep? What are some of the things that are affecting us? And that's really, really taking some time to be tuned into who you are, okay? We can actively learn how to better manage that stress by coming up with some solutions, which we're going to talk about. Okay, so this is another thing. If we handle our stress well, right, but we're surrounded by people that don't handle our stress well. So we may be married to somebody or have a child who really, really gets stressed out. That can affect us as well. So we need to talk about kind of how to deal with that and how we can navigate those waters. I know that I'm the stressed one all the time in my house. My husband's super laid back, so I kind of got lucky because he's the one that's going to kind of look at all sides of things, and I react very quickly. My daughter's like that. My son's not. So we all are constantly trying to, create the best family we can with all of these different reactions to things. And we need to know this about ourselves, right? And understand what kind of makes us tick. Okay, this is the secret word. Again, if you're with me live, you don't need to know this secret word. If you're doing a recording, just note it, okay? If you're on this in the recording. Okay, so people react differently to the same stress or stimulus, right? So let's look at the stimulus. Let's call it COVID, right? We realize that we're going to be shut down, okay? What did people go out and purchase when the pandemic hit? Tell me some things. What? Toilet paper.
Yeah.
Toilet paper. Was anybody like, huh? Right?
Why the name of God, toilet paper?
Toilet paper. What else? Lysol, right?
Yeah, bleach.
Bleach.
Yeah.
What else?
Food, mostly. Bread. Eggs.
Bread. It's like
Yeah.
a snowstorm was coming, right? Bread. And why? Why do we do that?
Stress, worrying about not having enough. Or,
Yeah.
you know.
Fear, right? We're afraid.
Fear took it over, yeah.
Yep. And then if you're in the grocery store and you pass somebody that has like 13 rolls of toilet paper, whatever, you go, wait a second, if they have that, do I need that? Right.
Yeah.
And then it starts to become kind of a,
yeah,
a domino.
Like it rubs off on you or something.
Right. Now there's other people that are like, yeah, I don't need that. I'll get it when I get it. Right.
Yeah.
So there's people that are dealing with things differently. People that purchased masks, all the masks they could find, and it left no masks for the medical professionals, right? There was some of that.
Yeah.
Weapons. There was a gun shortage for a while. Why?
Yeah. Fear.
Fear of what?
Yeah.
Somebody's gonna come steal your toilet paper.
That's right. That's right. You're not taking my toilet paper. Okay, so COVID's the stimulus. The reaction is going out and getting all that stuff, right?
Yeah.
And then the stress level increases, right? Because now,
yeah,
that's right. That's right. So we were all there and we're all dealing with it in different ways, okay? Because we all see the world differently. We're going to talk about that when we talk about communication and personality types this afternoon. So the better you understand yourself, why and how you react, is the more likely you'll be able to short circuit or mitigate, meaning you can get ahead of it, the effects of the stress, okay? But we have to know that all people are different people. Again, I'm getting a little ahead of myself. We're going to talk about this later. We all react to things differently, okay? And we have to have empathy and understanding that everybody's different, even in times of huge stressful situations. I didn't go out and buy a ton of toilet paper or paper towels. I was fine. I had friends that did. They had an entire room filled with it. And that made them feel better, okay? So we all react to things differently. All right, and somebody had chatted fear. Yep, it's fear. Okay, stressors can be both internal or external or both, okay? So we can show our stress. We can be people that kind of wear it on our sleeves. I'm more like that. You're never going to know what I'm thinking because it's always out there. Or you can internalize it, right? And sometimes that creates more pain within the body. But I guarantee you my blood pressure is probably higher than other people's because I get so amped up so quickly, right? But you can control them both to a certain extent. Understanding your own stress triggers can be helpful in stress management, and we're going to talk about how to kind of see all those. Does anybody want to talk a little bit about how they personally handle stress and if they have any solutions or if they have any challenges? I know this is kind of a personal thing and you don't have to, but I want to give you all a chance to kind of chime in. And even specifically, if you want to talk about the moment you learned about, the shutdown and what you felt. We talked about this a little bit before.
I think I deal with my stress internally.
Internally, good.
Yeah, because I didn't want like my grandbabies and all that. I didn't want them to be scared to death all the time.
Yeah.
So I kind of kept my thoughts to myself and internalized it. But I did tell them there was something, a virus out there that's making people really sick. I didn't go into any detail and tell them how many that they'd said had passed away or anything like that.
Right.
Because
which was all over the news, right?
Yeah. But I didn't want to cause extra fear, you might say. So I always tried to look at the bright side, We're all here together, we can do a lot of stuff together that we couldn't do before because everybody was always busy out running during their thing. But we could use this time as a family just to get closer, and do a lot of fun stuff together at home.
Yeah, and that's a great point to pick up, gratitude, right? Having gratitude in times that are really stressful is important, because it can teach you to be thankful for the little things. And as much as I use that car wash and I enjoyed the lockdown a little bit. You know, we did puzzles, we did all sorts of things that we never really had done as a family, because the whole world stopped. It wasn't just us, everybody stopped. Yeah, so it's good. Gratitude definitely will help deal with some stressors. Did you notice internally when you did kind of hold it all in, was there a moment during the day when you could let it out when they weren't watching, or did you ever have that moment, or did you notice?
I would go like work in the garden at the end of the day, you know, and then I would cry because all this was going on around us. I would let it out, you know. I wouldn't let it out around them, but I would find a spot where I could, you know, release it.
Yeah, that's great. And that gardening's perfect, right? Just yanking those weeds, getting in there. Yeah. Okay. I have a couple people that chatted that said parents are worried about sending their kids to school, but most are more worried about their children missing their learning. That was a definite stressor during that time. And then another person said they started medication during this, which I can completely understand, right? Because the stress of it is the stress of the unknown, I think, is what kind of got all of us. We didn't know when it was going to end.
I still think parents are worried about whether or not to send their kids back to school this year or not, with knowing that there's been an increase in the cases in the last month.
Yes. Yeah. And who deals with parents' fear?
We do.
Yeah, you do. Right. And again, you're answering questions about the unknown when you don't even really know, because we're all kind of working on this for the first time, the first time, but still the first time. Right. So they're looking to you to make them feel better about something that you're navigating yourself. That's a lot.
I know we're using COVID as our stressor, but besides COVID, there's so many other things that stress us.
Good, tell us.
Not related to COVID at all.
Good, share some of them. I'd love to hear them.
Like whenever one of your children gets sick, not from COVID, just sick, and all of a sudden you've got to figure out where to get a babysitter at.
Yes.
And knowing that your parents are either working themselves or live too far away to get there and babysit. It really puts a lot of stress on that person who doesn't want to miss work, but may have to.
Right. Yeah, there's a lot of external stressors that are happening outside of COVID, just on a daily basis. Of we're trying to raise children and trying to keep them safe and trying to make sure that we have a support system in place, right? And sometimes we don't. And then we think, okay, what are we going to do? How if we're going to miss work? What how's that going to affect our lives and our kids' lives? Yeah, there's a lot. You're right. COVID is an easy one to talk about just because it's so present in everybody's life, but everybody has daily stressors. And learning how to mitigate, how to get them on the front end, because things are going to happen, right? We know that the waters are never going to be crystal clear all the time. We know that we're going to definitely hit some waves, but knowing how we can deal with them and keep our minds kind of sane during the process is very helpful. All right. Thank y'all for sharing those. Okay. So I can't see this. I cannot see the top of this because this thing is on here. Okay. So what are your daily stressors, or what are some of your stressors, right? Deadlines, difficult people, unrealistic demands, health issues, family issues, new job responsibilities, new job expectations, and unexpected negative events, right? This is what we talked about. It's not just COVID. We have things on a daily basis, right? Deadlines. Something is due at a certain time. We need to get it in. We're on a time crunch. Difficult people. We deal with difficult people every single day. We're going to talk about that in the next training on how to handle difficult people. But people are difficult sometimes because of their stress, right? So how do we deal with them? Unrealistic demands of our coworkers, of our employers, of our family. how do we handle those demands? Health issues. And not just COVID, right? During COVID, we still had people that were suffering with cancer, with heart problems, with the flu, not as much flu, with colds, with sinus infections. I mean, it felt like it was almost illegal to sneeze, right? My kid got sick, but he had a sinus infection. These regular sicknesses are still happening, the stomach flu, okay? Bigger health issues that take a toll on our families. Family issues, the dynamics of certain families did not do well during the pandemic, and maybe just on a daily basis. Some of these kids didn't have enough food to eat if they weren't in school, right? There was a lot of huge stress on families. Some parents lost their jobs during this. So these are all issues that people are faced with. New job responsibilities, new job expectations, and unexpected negative events, which we talked about. All right, so internal stressors, right? So if we're holding some of this stress inside ourselves, what's happening? Pessimistic thinking, right? We talk about sometimes the inner critic, that voice that kind of just tells us all the negative things about ourselves. That's tough to listen to on a daily basis if we feel like we're not doing the best we can. Over analysis, meaning that you're just looking at something and just kind of dissecting it, right? To the point of it's hard to even think about it in a positive way. Family issues, taking things too personally. We'll talk about that in communicating. Perception versus reality, right? Sometimes when we are not at our best, we take things that people say and we internalize them to mean something that maybe they didn't even mean at the time. Unrealistic expectations, expecting things from people that it just can't provide, and how that affects us. Perfectionism, right? This is a huge one for a lot of people. And the tendency to compare. So you find a lot of these issues. Do you find a lot of these issues after you've kind of scrolled social media? Because that perfectionism and tendency to compare, I feel like people are always like thinking about when they look at other people's highlights, right? Their highlight reel. And we sometimes compare our backstage lives to somebody's highlight, right? And that's just, it's unrealistic. So we'll talk about some of these things in a little bit, but these are some internal stressors that we do face on a daily basis. Okay, what do y'all think about this statement? We create most of our own upsets, true or false? What do y'all think? Just chime in or send me a chat, either way. True. Good. True. Okay, anybody think false?
Even given our the external things that we can't deal with, things outside of our circle of control.
Yes.
But how we deal with them is still something that we create ourselves.
Right. I love that language, right? Like if you hold up the palm of your hand and you make a tiny circle, that's what we have control over in our lives. That's it. That's it. Right? That's the circle of control. Everything else, we cannot control.
I have control over.
You what? What'd you say?
I said my eyeball, if I make that circle.
That's right.
My eyeball is what I have control
That's
over.
it. That's it. It's so little. And when you can start to really, really understand that and say, okay, that's all, it's almost a relief, right? Because everything else that happens, we have no say over, but we can control how we react to it. We can control how we navigate it, right? But most of the things that happen and that we worry about, I mean, most things that we worry about never happen. And most of the things that happen, we can't even foresee happening.
Think about it.
What's that?
I said most of the things that happen, we can't do anything about
No, nothing about, but we can control how we react.
How we react to it.
That's right. So when we perceive stress as only about external factors, we feel helpless, right? When we realize that much of it is internal, we realize we can take control of that internalness. The journey is not easy, but at least there is a road. So basically what he's saying is that tiny, tiny bit is our internal way of of reacting to it. Okay. Let me check this little chat here. We need to be proactive and not reactive. Correct. Okay. So what role does worry play in stress?
Big role.
Yeah. Tell me about that.
Worry gets it all started. We worry about everything. I mean,
everything.
Like during the COVID, we worried about if we was going to have enough food, if our family members were going to get sick. Worry brings on a lot of stress. And sometimes it's unnecessary worry that brings it, you know. COVID was a big worry. But sometimes, like we were talking earlier, internal worrying, like about don't sweat the small stuff, I guess I'm trying to say.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. These things are going to happen, right?
Yeah.
These big things are going to happen. We hope they don't, but nobody makes it through life without some bumps and bruises, right? We, you know, we all go through things. And just to share a personal story, my dad died 4 years ago, very suddenly, very tragically. I could have never seen that happen. It happened on a day when I was in the happiest mood of my life, you know, so you never know when something will happen, and you just pray and hope that it won't happen, you know, to you. But again, bumps and bruises, right? We're all here for a little bit, we all leave, and we have to realize and figure out how to navigate these stress. So worry plays a huge role in stress because our minds are constantly thinking about the what ifs. What could happen? Could my family get sick? Should I stay in my house the whole time? Should I wear a mask? Should I not wear a mask? And then you turn the news on, right? And then what does the news do to that worry? What happens when you watch the news? You get aggravated. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And your worry goes out the roof.
Yeah. And they play that music, right? The dun dun dun.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they show the big COVID ball, right? That it has like daggers coming out of it. Yeah. So my suggestion, don't watch it.
Yeah.
But then you have to know what's going on. So
Yes.
You have to watch some news.
Well, do you have to watch it or could you read it? Depends, right? If you're the type of person that can't handle watching it, like sometimes it freaks me out to watch it, and I'll get to a point where I go, okay, I can't watch that. Then I read it. So you just have to figure out what works for you, what doesn't. But you're right. You want to be informed. So you can either watch it or read it or find a news station that works for you, right?
Oh, that's not good. Finding the news station that works for you means that says, I want my version.
Right. Not that you want your version, but you maybe you want it without the music, right? I try to find a news station that is very, very neutral, right down the line, because I want to hear both sides, but I don't want to be scared because I'm already scared. We're humans, right? Yeah. We're already scared. So you're right, but it's finding the news that works for you. Some people only want their version, right? Because it makes them feel better. So you're right. It depends on what you want and what you can handle, but you need to understand what stresses you out and what makes you worry more or less, and then go from there. Okay. Social media sometimes does that, right? If we start scrolling and then we go into kind of a vortex hole and we're like, oh, it's scary, or, you know, or we're reading something from somebody that might not be qualified to speak on a subject, but they're speaking very passionately. So just realize that we already have worry inside of us and it leads to more stress, and we need to tailor our external factors. That's what we have control over. We can turn the TV off. We can turn it on depending on what we feel or what we were doing that day. Okay. All right. Yes. Social media is very stressful. That I am hearing on a chat. Absolutely. That's where we get the different versions of the news. So again, checking the chat box, and this is what I'm seeing. You're right. Yep. We do get the different versions, and we get people that claim to be experts and they're not always experts. Okay. If you're just joining me, the way to get credit for this training is to type your name in the chat box, and then all of that's going to go to the school district. So if you're just joining me, make sure that you type your name in there so you get credit for the training. Okay, we will do one more slide and then we're going to take a little bit of a break. Okay. I'm trying to minimize this thing. Hold on one second. I'm having trouble these slides. Oops. One second. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm trying to move everything around so I can see here. Okay, so the bottom line is when we're faced with changes or increasing pressure, some people worry that we will not be able to handle the new challenges, right? But we need to have confidence and we need to have strategies to teach us how to handle some of these new challenges. Confidence is definitely a factor in stress, right? Gratitude, we talked a little bit about gratitude. Gratitude will help us kind of to navigate these really tough points in our life. When my dad passed away very suddenly, again, it was hard. And when the pandemic hit, I thought to myself, he had a heart attack when he died. I thought, wow, thank goodness he died quickly because I can't imagine him in a hospital. He hated that, right? And he would not have survived, I don't think, the pandemic being in the shape that he was in. So having a little bit of gratitude in a time that's really, really heartbreaking sometimes helps you look at things differently. So confidence is in ourselves and that we can navigate these things is a factor in stress. The more self-doubt we have, the more stress we're going to have. And the more confidence we have, the less stress that we're going to have, okay? Let's do one more here. Can you all see this? Everybody can still see, right? I hope.
No, we
You
cannot
can't.
see your.
You can't see the
flashing.
PowerPoint? Okay, hold on.
All we see is your screen.
Oh, my beach. Do you see my beach?
We see your beach.
I don't want to see my beach, huh? Okay. Okay, so this is the one we just did, right? All right,
We're there now.
confidence. Okay, you can see it. Okay, so what is the stress exhaustion cycle and how can it be broken, okay? You know what? Let's leave off here. Let's take a break and we'll come back to this one. This one takes a little bit of explanation. All right, so it's 9 o'clock. It's almost 9 o'clock. I told y'all that I'd give y'all breaks at every hour so we can kind of get up and stretch. So I'm going to turn my video and my microphone off, and we'll come back here in about 15 minutes. Any questions? I hear some people talking. I'll make sure I can answer them.
April is on Baton Rouge time, not.
Oh yeah, sorry, it's 10 o'clock. Yeah. Yes, it's 9 o'clock here, 10 o'clock there. Sorry. Yeah, I'm on Central Time. But it's 10 o'clock where y'all are at. So about 10:15. Sound good? Go get a cup of coffee, stretch your legs, and I'll see y'all back here and we'll talk about the stress cycle, okay? Yes. Okay. All right, everybody. Let's see. I know there's some cameras on and I don't see anybody in there. So we'll give everybody a couple more minutes and then we will start back up. All right, just let me know if you're there. Give me a little thumbs up just so I can see how many people we need to wait for. You can chat me a little thumbs up or I'm here. Okay, see some people back. Okay. I saw somebody that had sent a little message on chat and I wanted to go over it real quick. It was about the kids. Okay. So the comment was perhaps kids just don't speak up about what is stressing them, especially the younger students. And I thought that was really interesting, that maybe these kids have more stress than we realize because they're not communicating it. So I think, let's see who said this. Joy said this. So maybe if Joy's on, if she can kind of elaborate a little bit. And to everybody else that's coming back, if you have not typed in your name, please do that in the chat box so you can get credit for today's training. Okay, and if Joy, if you're here, do you want to just let us know a little bit about your comment and what you think about that, about the younger students having some of the stress but not speaking up, and how you think that as aides and maybe as bus drivers and cooks and people that are around these kids all day, how we can help them. So I'll give it a few, she might not be back yet, a few more minutes.
I'm back.
You're back, okay. I didn't want you to think that I didn't see that comment earlier, but I didn't want to skip over it. You had said that perhaps kids just don't speak up about what is stressing them, especially the younger students. Tell me a little bit about what you mean and how you can notice if there's something going on with a child.
Well, I still think a lot of young kids just go on and keep it to themselves. I really do.
Like they internalize it maybe more?
They internalize it, and
they acted out in the classroom.
Yes, how?
Behavior wise, towards peers, towards us.
Right. And how do you get to kind of the core of what's driving that behavior?
Not necessarily fights, I wouldn't say. Yeah, it could be just mouthy. I wouldn't say it's not necessarily fights. It's just picking at each other.
Right. And sometimes it's kids that we don't normally see that out of either, right?
Right.
Yes.
And I think in that case, sometimes those children will need a little bit more attention.
Right.
And I know right now it's not really, let's just say, appropriate to hug on these children.
Right.
But like I'm in kindergarten and I'm here with two other ladies that are in special ed. And I know this is not, let's just say, appropriate, but I have hugged these children anyways through this pandemic because they've needed the extra hug.
Yep. Right.
I mean, that's just what they've needed.
Right.
But we have stayed in our, let's just say, our group or
Right.
our pod. But these children have needed it because they don't really understand what is going on.
Right.
And they've needed that little extra, let's just say, love. And I haven't personally seen anything wrong with that as long as we're staying in our group.
Right. Yeah. It sounds like you're navigating it incredibly well. Noticing, number one, I think is huge, right? Saying, hey, this is not this normal behavior for this kid. Let me see what they need to help them. Yeah.
Exactly.
I think it's great. I mean, and you know what, like at that age, that is what they need. Right. And that's kind of the sadness, the grieving part of this is that for a lot of these kids, they are missing out on what they need at the young age. I feel worse for those kids maybe than like high school or middle school age, right? Because they've already gotten that. But this age range is really missing a lot of what they would normally get, especially touching, because touching is kind of a bad word, just like coughing and sneezing is now, right? Hugs. Remember when like somebody would hug you at the beginning and you're like, I don't know. Do I hug you? Do I air hug you? You know?
Right. And what do you do when that kindergarten or that special needs child comes to you and wants that hug? Because they're so young.
Words don't work. When words don't work for young children, they need a hug or some kind of reassurance from us?
Well, I mean, I think that I think that number one, you probably need to talk to the school district and see if they have a policy on it, right? Number two, common sense would tell me that a kid that maybe comes up to your hip and you give them a little hug wouldn't do any harm. But I would check with the school district first. I mean, there's ways that we hugged our loved ones that we weren't sticking our faces in their faces, and that, there's ways to go about it. But the fact that we even have to think that way, right, just shows us that we're in a whole different realm. And that kids pick up on that. So yeah, it sounds like whatever y'all are doing is working because you're aware of what's going on with the children. Yeah. Anybody else want to comment? Joy, did you say everything you wanted to say?
I think I did. Thank you.
All right, you're welcome. Okay, so I'm going to assume that kind of everybody's back here. Anybody else want to say anything else about the kids and how they are dealing with it and what they're noticing and how they're handling it to help out those maybe who have some questions on whether or not they're handling it correctly? Because I know there's a lot of kindergarten aides on this and special ed aides too. Even bus drivers, right? Sometimes those kids need a little reaffirmation from bus drivers.
I've seen some instances where kids don't want you to touch them because they've got that fear,
Yeah. Yeah, there's that too. There's being able to read a child, right? There really is being able to read. And some of us are better at that than others. That's just the reality of it. Some of us are, our personalities are geared towards that. If you're in a school district working with young children, I would be 99% sure that you're geared to be able to read little kids because you're called to that work. Nobody does that job unless they really have a passion for it, right? But for others that might not be called to that work, it's hard. It's hard to understand who wants what, and we really have to be in tune with that. Yeah. Good. That's good. Okay, so we were talking about anybody else. Sorry, I told you I talk fast. Anyone? Okay. All right, so we're talking about the stress and exhaustion cycle, right? Which we have all been in for a while. And even before COVID, living in America is a tough place because you're constantly keeping up with things and moving on to the next thing. And I mean, we are right now, they're putting out Christmas decorations, right? And we're like in August. So we're a fast moving culture anyway. And that can be stressful when you start to, you ever have that Facebook friend that puts like, there's 100 days till Christmas. And you're like, stop. Like, I don't want to know about that yet. Right. Like, I'm still like in August, like I'm waiting for the pumpkin spice lattes to come out, but they've come out 2 months ago. So there's a constant cycle here. So there's stress, there's exhaustion. We feel sometimes like we're on this wheel, right? And we can't get off. And we have these anxious thoughts and we have irrational thinking. So I'm going to say something that probably sounds really silly, but the brain is our dumbest and most malleable muscle. Okay. Our brain, the more we tell our brain something, the more it's going to believe it. So if we're constantly telling our brain that we make mistakes and we're stupid and we can't handle this and we can't do this, our brain's going to believe it. But if we change that thinking and we say things like, we wake up in the morning and we say, I am just grateful that I have these legs that carry me to the kitchen to make coffee. And this day is going to be a great day. And I know that things are going to come my way that are going to be tough, but I'm going to be able to deal with them. It can delete these irrational thoughts. They might pop in every now and then, but what's going to happen is your brain's going to be like, oh, I got this, right? Because you're constantly telling it the same thing over and over again. There's research out there that points to this. I'm not just making this up. So if we can change our thought patterns, we can change the way our brain thinks, and eventually we will start to look at things in a more positive light. Okay. And we can break this cycle. We can break all of this because it's going to happen. We have zero control over what happens out there, but we can figure out how we react to it. Okay. So again, positive thinking. Let's turn our brains around. Stress is going to drive that negative thinking. So being positive in general is a way to help cope. And we can't be like, 100% positive all the time. That is impossible, right? But we can let those negative thoughts come in, acknowledge them, and have them come out. I often think of them as like written on little leaves in like a stream, right? And I'm like, okay, there comes that negative thought up, and there it goes, right? I want the positive ones to stick. I want the negative ones to go away, because me beating myself up over a decision that I made isn't going to change the decision, right? I made it. It's done, right? If it's a huge mistake, I can go back and apologize for it. But most of the time it's not. I have to trust myself and trust my judgment, and I can't be critical all the time. That's what happens in my brain. I'm like, oh, did I make that right choice? Did I do the right thing? Blah, 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 blah. And I have this inner voice all the time. And I'm like, be quiet. No, we're gonna focus on the positive here. Okay. So oftentimes, right, good things can come from a negative event. We talked about that with my dad. Not that a good thing came from him passing away, but he didn't have to experience COVID. And here's an example that Jeff gave on this. Remember, he's the one that owns the company, and this is his training. He said that he totaled his car when he hit a deer, but he was able to use the insurance money to get a car that he liked much better. Okay. So sometimes good things do come out of negative events. And I know we're focusing a lot on COVID. I think just because it's universal, but spending time together with our families, right? Like cooking more, like going for walks. Did y'all notice anything different in your communities? Like, was there something that you noticed, like you drive around and be like, whoa, what's happening here?
I've seen a lot more people outside in their own yards, doing.
Yes. Doing yard work, maybe?
Yeah.
Yeah. What about bike riding? Did y'all have that
Bike
big?
riding,
Yeah. Right after we were quarantined, we bought my daughter a bike for her birthday, because her birthday party was canceled and she was really bummed. And I remember thinking, I really want to support this bike shop, because I don't feel like, I feel like they're going to go out of business. And I was totally wrong. I mean, bikes flew off the shelves, right? And to this day, that's something we enjoy as a family, is bike riding. We never really did it before. So yard work, definitely. Bike riding. What else did y'all notice?
And listen. Okay, go ahead.
I know I cooked more.
Well, I see WPK8. Is that y'all? What did y'all notice during the?
I said, I know that I cooked more.
You cooked more?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, like 3 meals a day and a snack.
Right. Why? Because you had what?
Because that's all we had to do.
Yeah, and you had time.
Yeah, and all the family was there, and everybody was always hungry, seemed like.
Yes.
They were bored, and if they wasn't out walking or doing something in the yard, they wanted to eat. So.
Did y'all notice you went to bed earlier?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. No. Some of you are like, no, you're watching that news, right? Yeah. That makes
I'm still trying to get back on a.
It's still trying. Right. But
I watched a lot of Netflix.
Yes. Did you learn new shows, right? Or you binged, but you could watch them all. Right. There's lots of things that we did because we had the gift of time. That's what COVID gave some of us, right? Some of us, it was detrimental, but some of us, it gave us the gift of time. Cooking more. We got to sit around the table together, right? Which was different than having to run to activities and having to bring everybody in different places. What else?
Well, Ms. Myers, they're trying to get me to hush and everything. There was a lot of times I was wanting to say something, but they say, please don't. But I'm a chime in, kind of probably go back a little bit. Yeah. But my son, he picked up a trait and it helped me out. Actually, he like the cook, Miss McBrayer talked about, he picked up cooking, but he also did a lot of gardening. He did something out of his thing and picked up that and really became really good at that. But, the positive thinking is what we do at home. My wife is a teacher also, and it's like an avenue and everything. We have this one street that we know that we're gonna go on. But like you said, in that street, something might happen.
Right.
Something might happen and everything that we are unaware of and everything, but still that street we know we have to walk or go to, we try to stay on. And I think a couple other slides, I heard someone chime in and said something about you don't know how to when things come your way, you don't know how to react and everything. But if you have that street that you go on, just stay on it, because a lot of things that come in life we can't do anything about, like you said, and everything. So we try not to think that way. We try to stay on that positive road and everything. And a personal thing that happened to me, my brother passed unexpectedly, and it was a shock, but I had to move forward.
Right.
And everything. So yeah.
I love that analogy. Like, we choose this street. Like,
Yeah.
no matter if a boulder comes down the mountain,
Yes,
or
ma'am.
a car pulls out in front of us, right?
Yes,
We're going to
ma'am.
choose to be on this street. And
On
that,
that street.
yeah. And that's a choice that you're making.
Yes.
You can't control your outside.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Your outsides. That's great. I love that. I might use that example in another training. That's great.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I love that. I got a couple chats that said, we talked about the gift of time, right? And Joy said that can mean that parents aren't working. Absolutely. I think that the pandemic was very, very hard for a lot of people, right? And I don't want to discount that at all. I'm just showing that for us that didn't have those outside influences, we can be grateful. And I think that those parents can be grateful too, but there was a lot of hardship, and I don't want to discount that at all. Joy also talked about those who are teleworking, were stressed trying to keep their kids on a schedule for school and keep current with their job. Absolutely. We had to deal with that at our house, and huge stress, which is why parents, I think, and tell me if I'm wrong, do they seem more appreciative that their kids are back in school?
Yes, they do.
Okay. So are you dealing with a different set of parents, maybe like a little bit less combative, some of them?
Yeah.
Definitely, yes.
Yes. Okay, good. So again, that's a silver lining that's come out of it, right? Maybe parents are now more thankful for schools, right? I know I was. I mean, I kind of started a new trend. Like, every year I'll give my teachers a little gift card where they can buy stuff for their classroom. And that's outside of the supplies, with a note that says, like, thank you. Like, I hope you have a great school year. Because I am so thankful that they're working. And not only did y'all have to do for the kids in school, but you also did for the kids in virtual school, right? I mean, there was so much that had to play out, and so many moving parts that had to be put together so quickly. And that's amazing to me. So yeah, so having some parents maybe that are more thankful. Go ahead.
We delivered meals, like on the school buses.
Right.
We would deliver meals.
That's incredible. To the kids that needed them, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And again, this stuff was pulled together, I mean, quickly, right?
Quickly, very quickly, yeah.
Right. Okay. The other comment I got was about concerns about going to church. Online church, like online school might work, but the fellowship was missing. Yeah, that was tough for a lot of people, right? Are churches back in right now?
I think so.
Okay.
Most of them are.
Most of them are. I think that, and here we go, but we wear masks. I watched a lot of online church at the time, but it wasn't the same, right? That is a community for a lot of people. And I also want to say, like, I love the comment about staying on your road, right? But there needs to always be time to grieve loss.
Yeah.
Always, because if you can't grieve the loss, it's hard to look at things in a positive light. There's a lot of grief in the fact that our lives changed. There's a lot of grief for parents who lost their jobs, for people who lost their friends and family. Yeah, absolutely. Everything. And there's something to taking that time to grieve it. Okay. And acknowledging it and allowing ourselves to feel it and then moving forward. I think sometimes we don't allow ourselves to feel it, even if it feels trivial, right? Like, well, I didn't lose a family member, but I lost my business or I lost my job. Well, it's not as bad as that person. It doesn't matter. Your grief is your grief. Okay. And no matter what, we need to take a moment to do that. And fellowship in church is definitely a huge part of a lot of people's lives. And they lost that during time. A lot of older people, elderly people lost that. A lot of elderly people were in nursing homes by themselves. And, you know, and then what did you see? Their loved ones standing outside singing or holding up.
That broke my heart. It did.
It was, yeah. But there was also a lot of great humanity during that time, a lot of supporting of each other. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So I know we're really, really talking about COVID right now, and there's other issues, but this one really is, it's universal and it's very timely. Okay. So love the analogy about the road. I think that's going to be like in my head forever. And I feel like I can just say that to my family, like, hey, we're choosing this road. There's going to be bumps and bruises. We're going to grieve whatever comes our way, but this is the road we're going to stay on. I like that. All right. Anybody else want to add anything before we move on here? Thank you for the text, the chats too. Those are great. Okay. All right. So perception also plays a big factor in some of these external events. Okay. The same external event that can make one person happy and motivate them can make another person sad and discourage others. Okay. Perception. I always say this to my daughter, perception versus reality. Like, what's really going on? Are we feeling something or is it reality? Because feelings are not facts, right? Feelings are not facts. Feelings are feelings. So, some people, you know, maybe could get through an event and feel like they understand the facts surrounding it and be motivated by it, right? They could be motivated by COVID, saying, okay, well, we're home right now, and let's get together and do a house project or whatever. Other events can make people sad, and maybe COVID's a bad example because people lost their jobs and family members. But we always have to ask ourselves, if we're facing a challenge, facing a stress, what's going on here? Am I feeling really bad about this, or is the reality is this is really bad? Okay. Perception versus reality. My daughters felt for like a year, you know, it's like puberty and it's middle school and she's feeling left out with these friends. And she's like, well, they didn't call me. And well, why didn't they call you? Did their phones get taken away? Did they not have access to it? Were they working on something else? But immediately her feelings felt like she was being left out, right? So we need to look at the situations before we react to them and understand exactly what's going on. Perception versus reality. All right. So challenges in our minds, right, are either going to bring opportunities or they're going to bring problems, depending on how we view things. And it's okay to be an opportunist, and it's okay to be a pessimist, right? But we need to understand exactly how our minds work so we can either flip the switch a little bit or start to look at things in a different light. So if we are a glass is half full person, any challenge that comes along, we're going to be able to be grateful for and look at the opportunity. If we are a pessimist, the glass is half empty, then we're going to see problems. I think it's fine to be either one, because I think that we're all different, right? Some people are optimists, some people are pessimists, but it's important to look at the entire situation, take our feelings out of it, and see what's really in front of us, and then make that decision from there about our reaction. Okay. That's how I react to stress. That's exactly how I react to it. And I know that I'm reactive, right? So I will react, and then I'll think about it, and then I'll be able to make a decision. That for me happens quickly, immediately, and then it takes me about like a day to calm down. Okay. That's just who I am. some people react differently. Some people internalize it, right? We talked about that, where you're not going to show it, right? Because I'm a parent, I do tend to keep it in for my kids, but I am the person that's going to run to my closet and scream, or go to the car wash and just because nobody can hear me there. Okay. But the important part is that I realize that about myself. Okay. I don't think I'm something that or somebody that I'm not. All right. So here's some really negative stress reactions. Okay. Well, let me check this little chat box real quick. Okay. Let me just read this because I don't want to move forward without reading it. Okay, I sometimes wonder for the grief of those who lost loved ones to COVID. We weren't able to support the people who are grieving. Today, more people are choosing cremation over burial since the pandemic. I sleep when I feel stressed, is what she said. Okay, yeah, I mean, I think too, the grieving over losing a loved one to COVID is probably going to be a long grief process, because for a lot of these families, they couldn't hold a service, right? And it's hard to support them. Go ahead, Joy.
That's what we were thinking.
Yeah, tell me.
When there's a wake, or when there's a chance to, the wake is so you can go support the family, because a lot of times you couldn't make it to a funeral, but you were even worried about going to their house to help them with the grief.
Yes.
That makes the stress even worse on the person who lost their loved one.
Yeah, absolutely. I lost a cousin during COVID, and his funeral was not very well attended, and they had a little like everybody met up at my aunt and uncle's house afterwards, and there wasn't a lot of people there. My sister was very, very paranoid about going. It was in North Carolina, so she drove from Maryland to North Carolina and back the same day, and wouldn't touch anybody, wouldn't come back, because she's a physical therapist, and her fear was that if she caught something, she wouldn't be able to work, and she would be able to support her family, because she just gets paid for when she works. So yeah, I mean, these are all big factors that come into play. And then when you lose a loved one, just to put myself in my aunt and uncle's shoes, and I'm sure all of you could think this way too, it's like you do feel badly for them, because you're like, you're going through this event and we all want to be there, but maybe we can't. And for them, the perception was nobody cares about us, right? And the reality of that is so far from nobody cares. It's that these are the factors that come into play. People don't want to get on airplanes, right? They didn't want to get on airplanes. They didn't want to hug other people. They didn't want to be around that. But this all goes into the perception versus reality and feelings coming into play. And then when people do use feelings as facts, what happens? They get angry, they get resentful, right? They get stressed out. And I'm just really encouraging you to remember that feelings always change. Whether or not you're angry at somebody, sad, happy, they're going to change constantly. They're not concrete. And when we are upset with somebody, it's usually because of our feelings and not the reality of the situation. Okay, so here are some stress reactions, right? Digging in too much and becoming a workaholic, right? Sometimes that's of our own choosing, or because that's the situation that we're in. I'm sure there's a lot more prep work on y'all's end than there ever has been to get schools opened. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah. Tell me what goes into that. What's going into getting these schools ready for September? What did you say, September 5th? No.
7th.
7th. Okay.
7th. Yeah.
September 7th. So tell me about that. I mean, you're training right now, so this is part of it. What else? What are y'all doing to get these schools ready? I'm sure there's a lot of cleaning, right?
Yeah, right now, Ms. Myers, these custodians are cleaning, like you were just mentioning. And I know they have a lot on their chest or minds on trying to have it ready. We also are getting another restroom in the school, and maintenance is down here busting their tail to try to prepare. And yes, unknown still on our county's policies that's going to come down
Yes.
about the mask wearing and things like that. So, I think, like I said, we wait, and when someone give us directions, go with those directions. Things may come up, still yet go with the directions. So,
Right. Yeah, you're in kind of a holding pattern, right? Because a
Yes,
lot can
ma'am.
change from August to September.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Yep. That's right. But being prepared, and tell me about the bathroom. Is that because you need more space for kids to space them out?
Yes, what happened is that we had one bathroom, and I think like second to eighth graders were using the same restroom. So a bunch of teachers and the administration got together and said, hey, what can we do? They got with the superintendent and assistant superintendent. They got their heads together and said, hey, why don't we just make another bathroom for 2-5, I think, or 2-4, and then 5-8 can have the other restroom. So it wouldn't be that second grader going into the restroom with an eighth grader. It
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
I gotcha.
So
Keep them
they
separate.
came up with some plan, and it's awesome. So yeah.
Right. Yeah, no, I mean, go ahead.
That we used to be a K-4 school.
Okay.
So then they consolidated us to a K-8 and didn't give us bathrooms.
Okay, so these were long due. You needed these
Only
bathrooms.
Students.
Okay.
Yeah, I was trying to be real cool and everything, and they want to, so
Yeah. No, I get it, but that is, I mean, that's a lot of work.
Yes, ma'am.
And now the custodial staff will have to maintain another bathroom, correct?
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Gotcha. Okay. And a custodial staff, take COVID out, right? In a school, has a full-time job. I mean, it's a lot of work. Now you add in the cleanliness factor, right? And it not only does it have to be clean, but it has to be super clean, that parents feel comfortable that their kids are even going back to school, which most of them at this point would probably push them out anyway, be like, it's fine. But that's a lot. That's a lot. So, do I have anybody on the custodial staff listening? I don't remember if anybody said. I don't think I do this time.
I think they're working in their schools.
Yeah, I think that, well, pass on that I am thankful for them. Yeah. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So any other ways that COVID has kind of changed the start of school? What else is going on? How about the physical layout of the classrooms? Is that different?
That will be based more upon the teachers when they come into school. And next week, when we get more from the Board of Education of how everything's going to go and run this year.
But yes,
Gotcha.
going into COVID, it was a challenge for the teachers to do the 6 feet, and it was difficult and
Right.
everything, because then there were like a load on custodians and other aides and teachers moving different types of furniture around, from desk to table.
Yes. Yep.
And everything. So yeah. The lunchroom is one of the areas that changed a whole lot. So yeah, that like you said, and everything, the layout.
Yeah, the layout. Yeah.
I do think though that we will be better prepared this year, no matter what they throw at us. I do
Right.
believe we'll be able to handle it a whole lot better.
Right, because you've already done it.
Yeah,
You've already done it. Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. You're on that road, but you already saw that boulder, right? You've already
Yes,
that was
ma'am.
3
Yes,
miles
ma'am.
back.
You're good. That's good. That's
I'm
good.
loving this
I like
road
it.
analogy.
Yeah.
Okay. So when we have some of these stress, some of the bad reactions, okay, and I hate using the word good or bad, but we dig in too much and become a workaholic, right? That happens because sometimes we can lose ourselves in our work. It was way easier for me as a parent to do my own work than it was to help my children do their work on the computer. It was hard. Like, I didn't know Google Classrooms. I didn't know Seesaw. I didn't know the apps. I didn't know how they would upload stuff. And honestly, when I stopped and I just backed off, they knew what they were doing, right? I didn't really need to be on top of them. But for parents whose kids, it was really hard for them to sit still. I mean, these were big stressors. So sometimes you saw parents that just kind of like said, I'm going to stick to my own work. It's easier, right? So becoming a workaholic, that's happened. Reliance on drugs and alcohol to cope. I can guarantee you wine was flying off those shelves as quickly as toilet paper was. I guarantee you people were drinking a lot more wine, right?
Yeah, one of my co she raised her hand twice.
Yes, yes, because anybody that was doing virtual school too, I'm sure was drinking a glass of wine next to it. But if we start to rely on that, right? If we start to rely on drugs and alcohol to cope, we create a whole other issue. And therapy has increased, like social workers and therapists and psychiatrists have made out very well during the pandemic because there's been a lot more need for that mental health care, right? So, you know, maybe people going to therapy is a good stress reaction, but reliance on drugs and alcohol obviously is not where we want to head. Passing it on to others, right? Which means that we are getting angry at things that really we're not angry about. So we're angry that we have no control over our lives during a pandemic. But if our kids spilled water for the 10th time or are hitting their sister or are having a tough day, we get angry at them, right? That's what passing it on to others means. Not a great way to cope. I did that a few times. I would get angry about stuff that was dumb, that really didn't matter. And the bigger issue was I wanted my kids to go back to school. I wanted our lives to be back to normal. Depression leading to inaction or avoidance, shutting down. A lot of people did that. I have a friend who's a therapist, and she has a client that didn't leave his bedroom for 8 months. His food was brought into him. He was a teenager, and he had a bathroom in there, but he refused to leave. He was so scared about the world outside of his room that became his safe place. And then, of course, anger and blame. And those of us who are reactive, who do kind of wear our feelings on our shirts, we're very quick to get angry and blame others. And you see that right now, everybody's blaming everybody for something, right? We're finger pointing all over. It's the governors, it's the president, it's the past presidents, everybody's blaming everybody. And really it's because we're stressed and we're worried about what we don't have control over. All right, so those are some bad stress reactions. Here's some good stress reactions. Developing an action plan, which is what your school district is doing. All right, guys, we know what's coming down the pipeline and we know it can change. What do we need to do to get these kids into school in a safe environment, right? Everybody's on board. It sounds like you all really have a good teamwork system in place. And I hear a lot of you talk about how you're supporting the bus drivers and you're supporting the aides and you're supporting the different staffs that are helping, the maintenance staff, the custodial staff. That's great. Exercising and other relaxation activities. I want to talk a little bit about, we're going to talk about it a little bit later, but exercise does not mean going to a gym if you don't want to go to a gym. Exercise does not mean running 3 miles if you don't want to run 3 miles. I'm fine. Like if you want to, that's fine. But I think our culture views exercise as getting on a Peloton or doing that mirror thing. No, exercise can mean you go and you dance with your kids for 20 minutes to Alexa. Exercise can mean you can clean your house and work up a sweat or do yoga or stretch or take a walk or swim or float or whatever. It means just moving your body, okay? And that is something that we need to do every day. Does it mean we need to join a gym? Absolutely not. We can do these things in very simple ways in our lives. Meditation, super important. It does not mean getting a shaman and going on top of a mountain and sitting there like this for 15 minutes or 2 hours. It means taking some deep breaths during the day and clearing our heads. And it could be 2 minutes. I'm terrible at meditating. I am not good at sitting there for a long time, but I do force myself to do it every day. And I take just a few deep breaths. So I want y'all right now, and I know nobody's camera's on, so nobody can be embarrassed, but we're gonna do something called the 4, 5, 6, where you take 4 deep breaths, you hold that breath for 5 seconds, and then you exhale 6 breaths. Okay, this is meditation, and then you can check it off your list. All right, so ready? We're gonna take 4 deep breaths. Hold for 5. And blow out for 6. And you should feel a little bit different, okay? That's the 4, 5, 6. That's meditation. Very simple. And again, it doesn't have to be long. It doesn't have to be what we think and perceive it to be. It can be super simple. Positive self-talk, we talked about this. Going down that street and saying, we can go this street. We're going this street every day, no matter what comes in our way, and we can deal with it. It's going to be hard, but we can handle it. And then the last one is pampering. And that does not mean going to a spa, but it could. It means taking a few minutes every day to take care of yourself and to put yourself first, okay? Whether that means watching your favorite Netflix show, reading a book, taking a walk. Give me some other ones that people enjoy. That is
Bubble bath.
A bubble bath, best. What else?
I discovered a hobby, crocheting. I sat there and crochet for a while.
Yes. So relaxing. Puzzles. We did puzzles, like 1,000-piece puzzles. And we didn't do them all in one day. We set them up where we could just do a couple pieces at a time. What else? What are some of the guys doing? I didn't hear anything from them. Bubble baths?
Yeah, I think that's what they were over here talking about.
Yeah.
And bus drivers, you know them.
Yeah.
They were talking about mud baths.
Mud baths. There we go.
Down here, so we don't care to ride in the mud.
Maybe taking a drive, right? Sometimes that's relaxing. Singing does something to your brain. It releases serotonin that just makes you feel good. Okay, so really pampering, and don't be deterred by that word like, well, I don't deserve a $500 trip to the spa. Yes, you do, but it doesn't mean that. It just means a few minutes a day where you can de-stress, especially after that first week of school, because everybody that's going to work that first week, and really everybody, but especially if you're dealing with small children or special ed kids, you're going to have to come home and realize you're going to be exhausted, and don't beat yourself up for it. Like, you're exhausted. Maybe the dishes aren't getting done. Maybe laundry's not getting done. Maybe for 10 minutes, you just need to sit there and stare at a wall, right? Or watch The Bachelorette or something else that's silly, whatever, but give yourself that time, because that's going to help you to be able to navigate the stress that comes along. Okay. It's going to reset your brain a little bit. Okay. So we're talking about how stress is bad, but not all stress is bad, right? A little bit of stress can motivate us, and procrastination and focus the mind. Okay. It can even feel good. It's understanding what is a little bit of stress and what positive stress is. So give me some ideas. What's some positive stress? And we don't even have to talk about COVID. I feel like everybody's a little COVIDed out. What's some good positive stress?
Something positive, guys, that you motivate yourself.
I had some positive stress. When we were having the feeding program and the children in school too, the virtual and the in-house, I had to make orders to be able to feed these children at school and at home. And that was very stressful, to be able to do that on a daily basis and not knowing what day that we would have the children and we wouldn't have the children. So we pulled that off really well.
Right.
I had to end we all pulled together and did that. The bus drivers, the aides, the cooks, all of us. We had a team and we worked really well together. And it was very stressful. But all in the same manner, we were able to get the satisfaction of knowing that the children had a meal.
Yes, Ms. Myers, I'm a piggyback on Tanya right there, the aide, which I was and everything. I've always known the cooks and everything, but because of this goes with this positive, I don't like the word stress because I really don't call myself a person that deals with stress. But like I said, in that role, things happen. And
Right.
but anyway, what happened is that I got to know them.
Yes,
And it was awesome. It was like she said, she had more concerns and work and things to do than I did, like preparing and getting it right. But I got to meet the cooks in a more personal way, and we pulled it off that every day. We laugh, we have fun, and like she said, sometimes we had to fix 100 and some bags, 300 and some bags, and then sometimes 2 or 3 bags pickups and stuff like that. But anyway, it was positive. It was
Yes.
the
Yes.
environment encouraging one another, and
Yes.
and we worked.
That's
So,
awesome.
yeah.
I'm going to give you some language about what you just talked about. That's called common humanity. Okay.
Yeah.
And what that means is that you all have the same purpose, that you can understand that people want the same thing.
Yes,
and to
ma'am.
be able to help during a time when, again, we felt helpless, motivated. So that is a positive stress. That's a great example. Does anybody else want to share?
I keep
Maybe
thinking,
exercising, like if you like you think you're overweight, your positive stress could be, Lord, I need to exercise, and you're procrastinating about it, and
Right.
you know, and maybe it can drive you to your desire to exercise and lose weight can drive you to stop procrastinating and get out, exercise more.
Yeah, a
cut
little
back on
self-talk.
wasted
Yeah.
time. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Great example. I heard somebody else chime in too. Okay, we'll move forward, but let me know if you think of anything else. All right, those are great examples. Okay, so we talked a little bit about this, but negative stress, right, can be a contributing factor in a bunch of different conditions: headaches, gum disease, skin conditions, diabetes, digestive disorders, autoimmune diseases, and heart diseases. Okay, our body is a beautiful, beautiful piece of work that's going to tell us what's going on. Listen to it. See what's happening. See what happens when you feel really amped up about something. What's going on? Where do you feel it first? Okay. And then what can you do to mitigate that, to alleviate that pain? Is it breathing? Is it going for a walk? Is it taking a bath? Okay. All right. So here's some challenges that are not negative, right? Which we just talked about some of these, but different. Okay, getting married, that's super stressful, right? But fun. The end of that's fun. It's and it can be as stressful as you want it to be. I feel like the weddings nowadays are like insane, but whatever. Okay, buying a home, especially now, is probably super stressful because I don't know about the market up there, but the market here is crazy, right? Yeah. Selling a home is probably more fun, but then finding another one can be stressful. Getting a promotion, right? Amazing opportunity that comes with a lot more responsibility. Christmas is so stressful for a lot of us if our expectations are really high. And going on vacation, if you're packing for kids, if you're doing the planning part of that, that can be change, but not a negative one, right? Exciting. And Christmas is not a negative one either. It's exciting, but sometimes it does get stressful. Okay, so expecting perfection is the best way to rob the joy out of everything. I hate the word perfection because it doesn't exist. It just simply does not exist. And here's a great quote from Salvador Dali, who's an artist. He said, "Have no fear of perfection. You'll never reach it." Okay, it's just not attainable. And when we can sort of get that into our brains, right? Like it just relieves so much because we can't be perfect because perfect doesn't exist. And here's kind of a picture of, I don't know, I think it's like a Thanksgiving dinner, right? How many times have we all thought about like, we're gonna have the perfect family meal, and then people are screaming at each other, or the turkey's overcooked or whatever, but it doesn't exist. And for example, right, if you set up the expectation of having a perfect wedding day, you are setting yourself up for more stress, meaning that you just want to have, you want to enjoy your wedding day. You want to reframe it, right? No matter what problems or challenges arrive. And again, I'm going to go back to the road because I love it. If you just say, this is the road we're going to be on, where we're going to make a choice to just be grateful for things, but it's not a perfect road. The road's going to be bumpy. It's going to need painting and asphalt, and the trees are going to need to be replaced on the side. And there's just, there's no perfection anywhere, right? It's just being happy with what's in front of us. Social media does, and I'm bringing this up just because I think that because of where we're at now, it adds a layer of this where we think that things are the way that that we perceive them to be on platforms like social media, and it's not, right? Like for example, I'm gonna give you a little backstage pass. Like I have a light right now on me. Look. I don't know if you can see. Oh no, you can't see it. It's not. Yeah. It's like one of those, my daughter has a selfie light, right? Because I don't have enough light in here. I have a blazer on and I'm literally wearing pajama pants on the bottom because I'm doing one at home. I'm in my kitchen, right? I added that plant last night. That's fake. But I don't want you to see all the bumps and bruises because I'm trying to be professional. But we're all dinged up. Right? We all have things. So if we start comparing our flaws to other people's perfections, I mean, it's just depressing, and nobody's perfect. Everybody is either using a different filter, using a different light, using a certain makeup, right? So I really feel like if we can be okay with where we're at, we can also have empathy and compassion for others who are where they're at. Okay. And we can relieve some of that stress. Okay. What time is it? Let's see. Okay, it is 11:07. We're going to go for about 10 more minutes. Do y'all need yeah, let's go for about 10 more minutes and we'll take another break and then we're going to finish up right before lunch. Okay, so being proactive about your needs, okay? Understanding what you need out of that oxygen mask before you can help other people. I promise you, this is going to change your life if you can put your needs first. Not in a selfish way, because we always think that way, like, oh, well, my kids need me, my husband needs you. That's fine. But if you can get your mind in a place where you can help other people, you're going to be more helpful. You're going to be less resentful, honestly. So being proactive about your needs, whether or not that means you get up in the morning and you enjoy your cup of coffee because you get up an hour earlier, or if you want to sleep a little bit more, but just knowing what you want and what you need at the time. Again, exercise, and I really, really hope you remember this from this training. It does not mean joining a gym unless you want to, okay? You can get exercise and movement anywhere in your house. My newest thing is I want to learn like different dances from different movies that I watch. So I learned the 4-minute end of the dance from The Greatest Showman. I YouTubed it. I said, I want to learn blah, blah, blah. And YouTube, you can do anything on. And I did this dance. I learned this dance. My kids were laughing at me. I had so much fun. I laughed at myself. I had a great time. And I actually learned the counts to it. Okay. And I burned a lot of energy doing it. So again, exercise comes in all sorts of forms. Riding bikes is great too. If you've never been on a bike, or if you haven't done that in a while, I encourage you to get on a bike and ride. It's really fun. Nobody's ever frowning when they're riding a bike. Okay, so there's different types of exercise. We talked about this. Your body wants to move. We do lose an average of 1% of muscle mass for each year over 25, okay? The less you move, the less your body's going to move. The more you move, the more your body's going to want to move. Bone density is an issue, okay? I turned 40 a few years ago, and I've noticed that I do need to kind of step that up a little bit. Strength training does increase muscle mass and bone density. So that might be something you want to incorporate into your movement, okay? This is especially an issue for women who do face osteoporosis later on in life, okay? So just kind of throwing that out there, but find something that you like to do. You don't necessarily, again, have to go buy the latest and greatest equipment unless you want to. This woman over here on the left enjoys running, right? I would actually have that look on my face if I ran every day, because I think running is awful. I do not enjoy it. It makes me really mad, but maybe she likes it. Okay. Find something you like. Take your health screening seriously. And I think there's a typo right there. Yes. Oops. It says health screening. It should say health screening. Meaning that if you have not made a doctor's appointment, do that. Do it soon. Get a physical done. Get some blood work done. See where you're at. Take some proactive measures to pamper yourself. This is part of pampering yourself. Get on that phone and make those doctor's appointments. Okay. Let me check. I have some chats here. Yeah, Joy says, I have felt better since I started exercising. Absolutely, because again, it's releasing those serotonin hormones, right? That the wine does too, but the wine's going to make you feel bad the next day. Exercising works. All right. Healthy eating. All right, so eating a heart healthy diet, right? And again, Jeff created this. So H is for heap on the fruits and veggies, meaning that, that's what your body really craves the most. Okay. You want to make that a big part of your diet. Some days I love to chew like a good salad, and some days I don't. So you know what I do? I stick it all in a blender. Drink it. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not. Sometimes my body needs it, sometimes it doesn't. I listen to what my body needs though. If I'm super thirsty, if I'm feeling kind of draggy, sometimes I'll do that, right? Sometimes people just love a good salad. Sometimes it's just fruits and veggies. I know in West Virginia that y'all grow some amazing fruit, right? Is it blackberries or blueberries? Which one is it? Watermelon maybe?
We have blackberries and red raspberries.
Yeah. Do you know how much I pay for those here? A lot. You get them. Yes, you get them, right? So get them. They're great. They're great for you. Those berries are anything with that dark, rich color is going to help your body, and it's going to make you feel better.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anything that's locally grown is amazing to feed your body. Also, I just learned that if you have allergies and you get honey, and this isn't scientific, this is just something that somebody told me and it worked for them and it's working for me. If you get the local honey in your area and you take like a teaspoon every day, it helps with your allergies. Did y'all hear that? Yeah. I thought that was interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, so the E in heart healthy diet is emphasize the right fats, right? Obviously the good fats, which are the ones that are like avocados, olive oil, and you can look all of this up, but basically the stuff that your body needs. Accentuate whole grains. Some people don't eat grains at all, and that works for them. There's a few different types of diets out there, like the keto diet and the what's the other one? The low carb, right? I don't know. I feel like if the fad comes back, maybe it's just a fad, but who knows, right? It depends on what your body needs. Did you want to say something?
Yes, Ms. Myers.
Yes, go ahead.
Go ahead, Philip.
I wonder what is the difference between heart healthy protein and unhealthy protein?
What was that?
What's the difference? I see heart healthy protein. Are you talking about just protein from like nuts and lentils?
Yeah, I think and again, I think that this depends on your body, right? I think all people are different people, but I think that they're saying to get most of your protein from plant-based sources. So nuts, legumes, and not as much from animals. But I'll tell you, my husband eats a lot of meat, and his like cholesterol's fine, everything's fine. I eat a lot of meat and I feel sick.
Okay.
So I think that it depends, and that's why it's really important to get those physicals and get get some blood work done, go to your doctor and see where your numbers are at and what they recommend you eating for your body type. I did the keto diet and I gained 5 pounds. My husband did the keto diet and lost 30 pounds in like a month. So I don't know.
Yeah, everything's different for everybody.
Exactly. That's my theory. Yep.
Those, heart healthy proteins also You know, a lot of red meat, they say it's not good for people. It's
Right.
better to eat things that fly or swim.
Right.
know.
Chicken and fish. Yes, I've heard that. Yep. And that works for me, right? Like that really does work for me. I'm not a huge red meat eater, but some people are. So I would hate to blanket all of this. I'm going to give you some ideas, but I would do your own research and see what works best for your body. I can't eat dairy. It makes me sick, right? My kids can drink milk, but I can't. So that's the R in this, is to kind of like less dairy, right? But it depends on your body. And then, the heart healthy protein it's plant-based. That's kind of the new way to go. Everything's plant-based, right? Have you seen those like plant-based meats? What are they called?
Yeah.
Has anyone tried those? I haven't tried them.
No, ma'am, I haven't.
Yeah, I haven't either. Maybe they're good. I don't know. I think it just depends on you and your family, right? I know that I struggle all the time to find something that all four of us are going to eat, because we all kind of eat differently. You know, I don't think we should eat dinner, and nobody in my house agrees with me. So we make dinner every night. I'm like, yeah, dinner's overrated. But
I agree with that.
yeah, me too. I mean, for me, because I
Yeah.
don't like to eat that late, you know?
Yeah.
But again, in other families that works. That's the meal that I want my family to sit together. I just think we should just do a puzzle and not eat, you know? And nobody agrees with me. So, you know,
I agree with you.
thank you. So you can come
Yes,
over
ma'am.
and just do a
Yes,
puzzle.
ma'am.
And
Yes, ma'am.
I'll put real pants on, not just pajama
Yes,
pants.
ma'am. I got
There you go. Okay, so again, this is a guideline. It is not law. Okay, this depends on your family and what y'all and your body type and what works. Listen to your body, because if you don't, you're going to either overeat or you're going to eat the wrong thing and you're going to have heartburn. And that's your body telling you, this didn't work for me. Okay. When I eat dairy, I feel nauseous. I end up having to dip into that Pepto. So I know not to eat it. Or if I do, like sometimes we want to go out for ice cream when we're at the beach. Well, I know what's coming down the pipeline, right? Like I'm like, okay, I'm going to eat a little bit and maybe not feel well, but it's worth it to be with my family making this memory. Listen to your body. Do not listen to other people, unless they're medical, tell you about your body. Okay, that's really important. Listen to your body. Your body's going to talk to you. It's going to know exactly what it needs. Okay, medical checkups, right? Mammograms, we're going to do after 40 years for women. Super fun if you haven't had that yet. PSA screenings, right? After 40 years for men, and colonoscopies after 50.
Yes, that's what I'm getting ready to do. That PSA.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
My wife been laughing at me, and I've been laughing at her also, and everything. But that's I think I have that PSA. I had my physical, and now I'm having that this week. Actually, Thursday. Yeah, or Friday.
Yep.
Yeah, you're gonna pray for me.
That's right, Walton. So these are all tools.
And that, hold on, Miss Myers. That
Go ahead.
colonoscopy. Yeah, that doctor was talking to me and everything, and I said, so what about that one that you get in the mail? What's the name of it? I think I'm going that route.
Yep.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm not quite there. I'm
but
almost there. But
I'm 58. So
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
I think it's time, I guess,
Right.
and everything. So yeah, I'm doing that and everything. I think it's funny.
He's taking the easy way.
Yeah, I'm taking
That's right. We don't know what's on the road of your health,
yes,
right?
ma'am. That road, it's that road.
But we know that we have these tools to help us
Yes,
mitigate if something comes along, right? And
Yes,
it's
ma'am.
always better to gather information than to not have any.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Yeah. So get those medical checkups.
Don't
Yeah.
do it. She said, don't do it.
No, don't listen to her. Do it.
It's part of the road.
That's right. All right. There are some not so good foods, and better foods. In school, they used to do I don't know if y'all do this, the green foods, the yellow foods, and the red foods, right? And again, your body's going to know what it wants. Your body might want a donut that day, and then for the next 2 days, just want fruits and vegetables, right? So these are some the glycemic index of foods, meaning that's how it's going to affect your blood sugar. I can't eat anything in the morning that is only carbohydrates. It has to have some sort of protein in it, or I get kind of dizzy, right? I know that about myself. So I'll eat like an egg on a bagel or something. I love the bagel, but I need to eat something that's going to go with that. So different GI, the classification of low GI foods, which is the 55 or less in the glycemic index. And these are your fruits and vegetables, and not those real starchy ones like potatoes and sugary ones like watermelon. Although watermelon is amazing. I don't need to read this for y'all. You'll have this handout, but again, just realizing what you're putting in your body. Less processed foods is always better, right? There's a reason that all those good, yummy, good for your body foods are on the perimeter of the store, and those middle aisles are filled with some processed stuff, which sometimes is good, right? Sometimes we want to eat that, but not all the time. So do that perimeter on in the grocery store, and give your body what it needs to be at its very best. Because sometimes if we are feeling depressed and we're feeling stressed, and we go right to those foods that might make us feel better for a minute, they're going to make us feel really bad after that, right? So we need to know the state of mind that we're in. When we're on vacation, sometimes we can eat some of that stuff, right? And we don't have that crash because a lot of the times we're moving more. Okay, we're at the beach and we're in the water with our kids, or we're hiking or whatever. So just be aware of it. Know your body. Anybody want to add to this? I love to hear all your food comments. No, okay. Let's see what time it is. A couple more and then we'll take a break. Keep your body hydrated. Drink a lot of water. Stay away from soda. Diet and regular. Green tea is great. It's great for the brain. Limit the intake of coffee and alcohol. We know all this. And drink organic milk. I don't drink a whole lot of milk, but I would say stay local. West Virginia is a beautiful, 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 beautiful state with lots of good local foods. Let me see this chat here. Joy said the high GI foods are my comfort food. Yeah, and comfort food's fine sometimes. I don't want to, like, I hate when people are like, well, don't eat any of this. And sometimes for your body you can't, but sometimes you can. So just be very compassionate and understand what works for you and what doesn't. All right, we're gonna stop right here. Let's do 10 minutes this time, not 15. So it is 9:22 your time, right? No, 11:22. Sorry, you're an hour ahead. It's 11:22 your time. Let's come back like 11:30, 11:32, and we'll start on this comic. This is a good one. Okay, I'm gonna turn my camera off and mute, and we'll be right back. Just stretch your legs, go to the bathroom, get some coffee. All right. All right, guys, I'm back. I'm gonna get you out of here for lunch. So I see a couple people, it's empty videos, and I'm just assuming that everybody else is kind of heading back. So just let me know if you're back up. I see some people.
I'm back.
You're
I'm
back?
back.
Okay, good. All right, good. Everyone's back. All right, hello. See some more faces. All right. So let's finish this up. So this cartoon here is of kind of looks like a employer talking to her employee saying, I've been told I need to let my hair down, and her hair is up super straight, right? Meaning that she might be a little bit uptight, or she might need to play and have fun more. We talked about kids and how they're adaptable. They're also they're wired to play, right? Kids are wired to play. We were wired at one time to play, and then we grew up and we got responsibilities, and the weight of the world kind of, became part of our life, and we had to raise families, and there's a lot that goes on with that, right? So sometimes we forget about our play, but I think it's great to maybe incorporate a little bit of play every day. Again, nothing extravagant, nothing that you're not comfortable with, but think about how kids think and what you like to do as a kid, and maybe do some of that. I'm telling you that doing that YouTube video choreography made me so happy, and I was not good, right? But I knew I wasn't good. It was just fun. Somebody had asked what the title of this session was. It was called Stress and Wellness. Let me just type that in real quick. We'll move on to the next slide.
I find that letting the kids teach me something new,
Yes.
especially like a new dance step that I'm no good at, but they get such a kick out of watching me try.
Yes. And you find yourself smiling and laughing and enjoying it after a little bit, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, that's play. That's incorporating play into our life. Okay, I just want to real quick, if you're just joining us and you haven't done it yet, please type in your name to the chat box so they know that you've been here and you get credit for this training. Okay, and I am looking at that box every now and then, which is why you kind of see me over here doing that. Okay. So yeah, incorporating play is important. Pampering yourself. We talked about this, right? A few minutes a day, just checking back in with yourself, giving your body the compassion it needs. Your body is amazing. It carries you all day, right? Your brain is thinking, your eyes are seeing, you're tasting, you're smelling. Your body needs a break. Your brain needs a break every now and then. So it's really, really good to make sure that you're pampering yourself. Take a daycation. Maybe you can't afford, or you don't have the time to do a vacation. Find something in your town or in your state or in your neighboring state. West Virginia is incredible. I mean, it's you could walk outside and be somewhere that people pay a lot of money to go visit. And sometimes I think when we live there, we forget that, right? But it's wonderful to take a vacation in your town, take a day and just go and spend it doing anything that doesn't involve responsibility. I think a lot of times on the weekends we get caught up in the circle of just like dishes and laundry and all the stuff we couldn't do during the week because we're working. Let it sit. It's not going to go anywhere, right? Go enjoy yourself. It's going to really, really help your stress level. It's going to help you reboot. Yeah, stay away from negative people. They have a problem for every solution. But you don't have to cut them off, right? Sometimes if you think of our circle as like people that are maybe in our inner circle that we can't really cut off, our family and our close friends, and then kind of there's another gate, and those might be our coworkers, and then another gate, right? Maybe keep those people in that like last gate. And know when you can listen to them and know when you can't. If you're living on 20%, if you're not at your full 100, this person's going to drain every last bit out of you. Okay. If you have 100% to give and maybe they need somebody and you want to be that person, do it, but you don't have to. Let me check this chat box too quick. Okay. People were talking about some places that they go, the casino and Cross Lanes. That sounds fun. Okay. Get a little crazy, right? Like go jump rope with your kids or jump on the trampoline. My kids always want me to jump on the trampoline. And that's super fun. Like sometimes I feel like this trampoline's not going to hold me, but it's okay. We just keep jumping, right? We got that trampoline during COVID, and if I let myself go and I don't think about all the things I have to do and that little inner critic, it's fun. All right. To get a little crazy, it's going to help your brain. It's going to help you feel better. No, this one's fun. I feel like it got cut off a little bit. Crazy is good. Insane is not good. We don't ever want to get to the point that we can't come back, right? So, yeah. Somebody want to say something? No, okay. I feel like she's wearing ribbons for earrings. Okay. Play your winners, right? Know what works for you and what doesn't. This guy's very happy on the beach. I love that. The beach works for me. It kind of gives me a reboot. It does not work for my husband. He's not a big beach guy, right? So we've had to figure out some different vacations. My kids get kind of bored sometimes at the beach, and which is good. They need to be bored sometimes. Other times we need to plan vacations that are fun for them. We went to Disney. I don't like Disney World at all, right? I was like dreading going. The kids wanted to go. I'm like, okay, we need to do this for them. I had a blast because I got to see it through their eyes. And my most favorite part of Disney World was the part that I was dreading, was standing in line, because I got to look at them and talk to them, and they weren't behind me when I was like trying to do something for them. We actually got that family time. So practicing random acts of kindness, and the folks that talked about making all the lunches and stuff, I think you all know this. These random acts of kindness make you feel so good, right? They really, really do. Every now and then, if I have a couple extra bucks and I'm at a drive-through, like we kind of live at Chick-fil-A, I'll pay for the person behind me. And just to and it just makes me feel good to know that they feel good, right? During COVID, we definitely practiced this. We would go to people's houses, like during Easter. We did an Easter egg hunt for kids on my son's baseball team. So we just went and threw Easter eggs on their yard and would text and be like, go check your front yard. And it was fun. They had a good time. So little acts of kindness that can really brighten somebody's day are going to make you feel twice as good. Okay. All right. So this old saying, are you sailing or are you bailing? If you choose this road to go down, or this river to navigate, right? If it's your choice, then you should always be sailing. You should never be bailing yourself out of something, because you should be prepared mentally for whatever comes your way. You're not going to be able to predict what's coming your way, but you can say, I know what I can do to decrease the stress level enough that I can handle whatever comes my way. Okay. And that will assure that you are sailing and not bailing, not always trying to dig yourself out of a hole that just popped up, not always feeling negative, not always feeling weighed down. You may feel these things in life, and you may have to grieve and feel those feelings, but know that they're going to change. Okay. There's no pixie dust or magic formulas. It's just life. I think it was maybe Brene Brown. I'm trying to think of who coined the term brutiful, right? Life is brutiful, meaning that sometimes it's brutal and sometimes it's beautiful. And you can choose to kind of view it however you want, but it's hard sometimes, and we're going to face hardships, but we can make sure that our minds are sound enough that we can handle whatever there is that's coming for us, especially this guy, because that's a little creepy. Okay. So part of this is kind of the last thing we're going to talk about, is time management. Okay. And time management is going to help us with our stress. I'm going to just interrupt 1 second. I see you coming and taking pictures. Do you need a copy of the slideshow? Or I don't know what you're taking pictures of. Hold on, let me unmute you. Are you unmuted? You're still muted. You can type to me. That's fine. Or keep taking pictures. I'm just curious. Hi, guys. Okay. Do y'all see that? Or is it just me? Okay, keep going. That's fine. All right. So time management is a reflective process, meaning that we really have to think about how we are going to manage our time, what is wasting our time, what we can get rid of in our lives, what we need to hold on to, right? Which maybe is unpleasant, but it's part of what is the realm of our life at the moment. It requires a lot of thinking. It requires a lot of planning. It requires a lot of reflection. So what are your biggest time wasters? Take a couple seconds and just throw them out there at me. You can send them over chat, or you can just turn your mic on. I feel bad. I feel like this guy's not a time waster, but he's like thinking about it.
Watching a lot of TV.
Watching a lot of TV. Good. Which can also be pampering, right?
Yeah.
But there is a fine line. There's a fine line.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a line. Good. What else?
Procrastinating.
Yeah, for sure. Yep. Social media. Is anybody on that a lot? Yep. Yep.
No.
Our phones.
Yeah.
Does anybody have the ding that like dings you when for any type of notification?
Yes.
I will tell. Yes, I will tell you that I took that ding off for emails and social media. I kept it on for texts, and it's been like life-changing because I check it anyway, right? Human nature is that you're going to scroll anyway, but I don't have to hear it. And I felt like Pavlov's dog. Like every time I was like ding, I was like ding, ding. So I turned it off, and it worked. Okay, but TV, social media. Go ahead. What else? Procrastination, thinking about something. Right? There's that old saying, eat the frog. Have you ever heard that?
Yeah.
Yeah. If the worst thing you do all day is eat a frog, everything else seems like minuscule. So do your hardest task first. Right?
Yeah.
Yep. All right. Anybody else? There's lots of time waste, things that are time wasters. Okay. I know it's almost lunchtime.
I think worrying a lot is a time waster.
Yes.
I think if you worry a lot and keep your mind all worried and aggravated or whatever, you're wasting your time. Really.
Yep.
Yeah. It's like a sticky thought. You get a sticky thought in your head.
Yep. Yeah, that's some language for that is called unproductive thinking.
Yeah.
Yep. Meaning that it's not producing anything. It's just playing over and over in your head. Productive thinking is a good use of your time.
Yeah.
Unproductive thinking, when you're worrying about things that you have no control over, when you're questioning decisions that you made in the past, right?
Yeah.
All of these things can really suck your energy. All right, let me check this chat here. Okay. My picture taker said, I'm enjoying this a lot, taking pictures and sending to my daughter. She is a stressor. I love it. Have you heard of the Ohio rule? I have not. OHIO. I wish somebody would tell me. Has anybody heard of that? No, maybe she can't unmute this.
The state of Ohio, I know.
Yeah, that's what I've heard of too. I think it's an acronym, OHIO. No, what is the Ohio rule? How about you type it out for me? Can you type it if you can't unmute? I love that. Ohio rule. Okay, she's going to type it. We'll come back to that. So lots of time wasters that we talked about, and a lot of these can be mitigated, right?
Yeah.
Give yourself a couple hours a day to watch TV if it sucks you in. Turn your notifications off off your phone. Maybe get rid of Facebook on your phone or whatever you need to do to make sure that you don't waste that time. And procrastination, right? Eat that frog. Yep. And then, the unproductive thoughts. You're going to have them, right? So either write them down and then crumple it, throw it away, or picture them either like going up into a balloon. Don't shut them off completely. You're going to have them, but have them and say yourself, okay, thank you, boom, done, right? Don't keep going over and over. And I say that because I am somebody that does that all the time. All right. So the Ohio rule, this is great, is only handle it once. OHIO. In other words, handle it completely the first time. Love it. Love it, right? We're going to talk a little bit about communication in the afternoon session, and this would be perfect for that. Meaning that if you need to talk to somebody, if you need to do a task, do it the best and that you can the first time and get it all out, like figure it out once, and then you don't have to come back to it.
Yeah.
And communicating is part of that, right? With people. Okay. I love that. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Next. Here you go. The idea is to work smarter, not harder. The Ohio rule, only handle it once. So we're not doing things multiple times. You could have been training on this. This is awesome. All right. So here is a great little comic strip of a caveman tickling the Stegosaurus, I guess, and he hits himself in the head and kills himself. And he's like, I got dinner, right? Fighting this thing would have been a lot. So he understands what it means to work smarter. Okay, maybe taking those tasks and figuring out exactly what needs to be done. You guys are not going to know what September 7th brings until probably the Friday before, right?
Yeah.
So there's certain tasks you can't do right now, or you're going to redo them, right? There's certain things you can do right now. You all know what you're getting into because you've done it before. You know the worst case scenario. So right now you are, as a district, kind of working smarter, not harder, but we can do this with other tasks too. I always mop my floors and then I serve spaghetti for dinner to my child who eats like, I mean, that's not smart, right? So I know now, like, okay, don't make spaghetti that night. A little small example. Okay. What is the number one cause of stress at work? What do y'all think? The number one cause of stress at work.
You mean other people's stress on you, or what? What are you talking about?
I'm saying, like, what do you think that causes your stress at work, or if everybody were to kind of, if I took a poll, what would they say is the most stressful thing at work?
Well, my opinion is that we, knowing something's going to happen and not having details, so I can't work on it or even plan in my head. Last minute details.
All right. So not great communication, I guess, right?
Yes.
Okay. So communication. What else?
Lack of being prepared.
Lack of preparedness. Is that what I heard?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. What else? I mean, one more.
Sometimes your colleagues.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure, right? Because all people are different people. And, yeah, that's fair. What else? Well, that's good. That's good. That's 3. Okay.
Yeah, if the rolls burn, maybe.
The what?
If the rolls burn.
The rolls burn.
Yeah, I guess she talking about she don't have no more bread for the menu.
Yeah, we know Hatcher loves that bread.
Yeah, I like that bread.
Yeah. Hey, bread's important for sure. I mean, if you're serving a bunch of kids and you don't have enough food, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, definitely. Okay. So the number one cause of stress at work is role ambiguity, which you guys talked about, or task order ambiguity. And what exactly does that mean? It means that we are not quite sure what is expected of us. And we're not quite sure what we're supposed to expect from other people. And that comes from a lack of preparedness, which we talked about, a lack of direction and communication. So sometimes we feel like we're stuck between a rock and a hard place because we're not quite sure what the task is supposed to be, right? That happens to us all the time, where we are either given instructions and maybe they're not clear, or we're not given instructions, right? Or we're given instructions and they change, okay? Sometimes we work for people who expect us to read their minds, and that's not in our job description. I worked for somebody like this, and he was awful. He was awful because he would be so resentful of what people were doing, how they were performing at work, yet he never clearly told them what he expected of them because he didn't like confrontation and he didn't want to hurt anybody's feelings. But what happened is everything blew up because he never told anybody what he wanted them to do, and he got angry at them for not doing what he expected them to do. Okay, so having roles clearly defined, having job duties clearly defined, asking what those roles and those duties are will help you and your employees and your employer into running a more effective workplace. This will lead to better time management, and it will cut down the chatter in your head if things are already clearly laid out. Every time I left his office, I would read back to him exactly what I thought he wanted me to do. And then he would go, no, I don't. Okay, let me ask you again. And I would speak like that. Let me ask you again. Is this what you want? You know, it's just so I was clear on what he asked and what he wanted from me. It is not my job to read your mind. And all that's going to do is make you mad and make me mad. Okay. So task ambiguity is the #1 stressor at work because it creates time management issues, and it also creates a lot of stress on us. Here's another quote that I want you all to hear. If we don't say yes authentically, we say yes resentfully. And that leads to far more problems than if we'd said no in the first place. Okay, let me say that again. If we don't say yes authentically, we say yes resentfully. And that leads to far more problems than if we'd said no in the first place. And I'm telling you that so we gear up for the next slides. It's okay to say no, not all the time, depending on who you're saying no to. But if you're the one that's always saying yes and always taking on a lot more tasks than you're able to handle, you're going to get mad. It's going to happen. Okay. So let's talk about that. Again, this clarification, you're going to ask, they're going to inform you, and you're going to handle it. And if you say no, it's because it's not something that you can handle, and you're clearly going to say no. It is okay to say no. The more you say no when you can't do something, or you're not capable of doing it, or you don't have time to do it, the easier it is in the future. And this is also can be used in family situations, in friend situations, in children's situations, okay? Because if you're constantly saying yes, you become resentful. Okay. And here's why. Anybody ever heard this monkey who has the monkey? Nope. Okay. Sometimes if you're good at managing your own time, you find people that want to manage your time too, right? That want to pass on their tasks to you. Have you ever found that the more you do, the more you're asked to do? The better you are at your job, the more you're going to be given, that's okay if that's something that works for you. But sometimes coworkers or even employers are going to take advantage of that time and pass items along to you, okay? An example would be maybe a teacher coming into an office staff type person, or a teacher maybe giving a teacher aide work that they're really required to do, right? And maybe you can do it, and maybe it's not a big deal for you to do it, but maybe it keeps happening, and then you keep having to do their work. So I would say, that's great, thank you so much, but pass that monkey back. Pass it back to them and say, oh, I'll show you how you can do that, just so you have it the next time. Kids do this all the time, right? My kid is 9 years old, can tie his own shoes, but he's like, Mom, can you tie my cleats? Nope. You can tie your own cleats. Yeah, but it takes me a long time. Yeah. Do you want to be the kid in college that has their mom come and tie their cleats for them? No, you don't. So you can tie it yourself. I'm going to make sure that you have extra time. I'm going to give you a 15 minutes heads up when we're leaving instead of a 10-minute, so you have that extra 5 minutes. You can do that with employees too, right? You can pass that monkey back in a way that's very respectful, so they are not sucking your time, because I'm sure you have a bunch of tasks that you have to do every day. And you shouldn't have to be somebody else's monkey, right? You shouldn't have to be passed along different tasks. So do you have monkey radar? Can you see it coming? Sometimes I think you're on mute, but you can unmute and tell me, because you look like you want to say something. No? Okay.
Now, one thing, Ms. Myers, you're talking about is that I think sometimes people put everyone in that same box, thinking that we all can do the same task, because that one probably can do multiple things. So they, I don't know, take advantage of the other. Like, I'm an aide and I can do all this, but then they see another aide and they think that aide should be doing what I do. And that's, I think sometimes that's what happens mistakenly. Right. I try to use those type of words instead of someone taking advantage of, but I know it does happen and everything. And but anyway,
and how do you get through a situation like that? What's the number one tool you can use?
Well, my thing is the thing, personally, I'm pretty active, and sometimes I know some aides are not like I am, and I know teachers wanting a certain aide doing or asking, so I kind of step in. I don't mind that. I don't mind that, because I know they would step in for me if it's something I'm doing, but they're not able to do. But
right, and all that takes is communication, right?
Communication.
That's all that takes.
Communication.
Yep.
That's it.
Is you saying, "Hey, I'm good with this," and maybe somebody else isn't.
Yeah. Yes,
and that's
ma'am.
fine. That's fine, because all people are different people, and all people can handle things differently. Some
Yes.
people are great at multitasking and love the added work, right?
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
and some
ma'am.
people say, "No, I have enough on my plate." So that's perfect for this slide, because you can have monkey radar. You know when it's coming,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And I'm
yes.
sure everybody can read a room, because you all work in the schools and you all can understand where other people are coming from. And if you can't, it's really important to communicate. And we're going to talk about that in the next session. That was a great comment. Thank you. Let me make sure I don't, yeah, good. Okay. All right. So what about a time abuser? Does anybody have any of those they work with? Maybe you're a good listener and these people come into your office or come to maybe when you're eating lunch and you're just like, "Oh, let me tell you about my weekend," or "Let me tell you about my problems," right? Who knows? Or maybe they're just somebody that's always constantly late and they need help with certain things. And you're like, "Wait a second, your procrastination is not my emergency, because I'm already doing my stuff on time," right? We know these people. And again, I think it's important, like you said before, it's not a taking advantage of, or it's not a coming at. These people aren't vindictive. They're humans. They're built differently than maybe you or me are, right? Everybody has different ways of doing things. So we need to realize what our boundaries are, and whether or not we're going to let them come and abuse our time, or we're not. And if we have the time, that's different, right? So we need to see them coming. So time abusers are people who manage their time at your expense. Okay, this is another, we need to fix this, is another typo. A person who manages their time at your expense, okay? That's not all right. These are the folks that ignore deadlines. They turn in things that are sloppy or incomplete. They try to stick you or your department with matters that are his or her responsibility. Waits to the last minute to do things, creating unnecessary deadline pressure on you. Now, we don't want that. Are they bad people? No, not at all. But we don't want them to abuse our time, okay? So see this little kid right here and his cute little bag lunch? This is our client. If we work for schools, we work for this kid. We're going to call him Timmy, because he looks like a cute little Timmy. All right. Our guiding principle is that we have to do what's best for the schools. We are in business of serving kids. That's what we do. So no matter what a person does or does not do, we cannot respond in any way that would have a negative impact on students or the community. And the thing I love about Mingo is that y'all kind of know that. That's in you. Nobody has to tell you that, right? Because you're all here. You're all working during a pandemic. You're all sitting here during this training. So you know that school comes first. It's a business. I hate to say that because nobody wants to say that about schools, but it really is. It's a business and we're serving kids. So we have to make sure that when we are communicating with employees and coworkers and bosses that are maybe time abusers or maybe not treating us correctly, we need to communicate in an effective way. And again, we're going to talk about that this afternoon. How do I say no to unreasonable requests without feeling guilty? Anybody have any ways? Any tips? We have one slide left, y'all. Somebody answer this. And then it's lunchtime for you.
I just tell them that I will call my supervisor and see if I can do it or not.
Yes, I love that, right? So you're not really saying no, you're saying, let me check.
I do, and I do check. And
Right.
if it's a no, I'll do it. And if it's not, then if I have time to do it, I'll do it.
Right. And sometimes
Try
saying,
to accommodate, everybody in the building. Certain people have different needs, and we try, but if it's just unreasonable without hurting anybody's feelings, I'll just say, hey, I'll contact my supervisor and see how she feels about that.
and in the meantime of you contacting your supervisor, does sometimes it get done by that person?
Yes.
Yes. That's
She will
important.
tell me directly, trust me. If
Yeah, that
it's
goes
yes
to
or
that
yes
other
or no.
slide that she
Yes.
said, passing the buck on.
Passing the buck. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. If my son needs water or something for, football, I'm like, oh, go fill it up, or he's like, hey mom, would you mind filling this up? Yeah, let me finish this and then I'll do that. 9 out of 10 times he already does it because he wants it done quickly, right? So
Yes,
passing that buck and letting the person do their own thing. Yep, exactly. Great example. Okay. So go forth and tackle your time monkeys. That's the end slide. I didn't make this slideshow, but I do enjoy it. Okay, that's it. We're done with managing stress and time, and you guys are awesome. And you.
Now, I was gonna say you are awesome.
Oh well, thank you. Yeah, me in my
welcome.
kitchen. I might put real
Yes.
pants on for the next one. We'll
All
see.
right.
I'll brush
That's
my
cool.
teeth.
That's all. You're pretty cool.
Thank you. Y'all are too. Okay, so we're gonna do it's 12:05. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So I guess come back around 1:05
Sounds
for the next training, and yeah, I'll see y'all then. I'm gonna turn everything off. I think you have to get back in on the other Zoom call. There's another Zoom link.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, perfect. All right, so I'll see y'all in about an hour.
All right.
Thank you. Okay, enjoy
You're welcome.
lunch.
All right.